Go live. Okay.
Yeah, that should be it.
All right. Are we on here? Wait. All right.
There'll be a bit of delay on the YouTube stream.
Let me know if it shows up.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah, it's happening. It's happening.
It's happened. Make sure everyone can hear us. Can you hear me?
Yep, it's happening.
We can? Okay.
Oh, actually, wait one second. I think it's picking up like my audio through. There's like an echo, there's like a double echo on my
There is.
voice. Yeah, so I think it's because if you go on OBS, it might be picking up desktop audio and Discord
okay.
audio.
Let me fix that really quickly. Great.
Well, this just makes it a lot more DIY, doesn't it? Makeshift.
Yeah.
They know that we're real people, not AI.
Okay, what about
probably
that? I just changed it.
Right, let me check. Some weird sound from Red Guy there. That was like 2 minutes ago. Right, let me check. It's like 2 minutes behind. Sound, yep, sorted. We're back. We're in action now.
All right.
Red Guy. That's what you call from now on. Hi, Red
Guy.
You're Purple Guy. Oh, class.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the wait, what do we call this? The Trip Keeper or the Trip Sitters podcast?
The Trip Sitters, yeah.
This is
woo. Well, it's a throwback, isn't it, to the first time we all formed, like you say, in 2021. Me, you, Blurry, someone that's no one.
This is
the
if anyone.
Squadron.
They didn't know that this is what it was going to be called back in the day. We were all the Trip Sitters, and it was just going to be something big. And now it's finally here. You know, we're finally doing it 2-3 years later, which is crazy that we've already been doing it this long.
Yeah, that is just mind blowing, isn't it? It's flown by, hasn't it? It's genuine. I don't know about you, but it's flown by.
Yeah, it has. It's insane how fast it's been going by. Like work at the post office too. That makes my I started in 2019. That's been going by fast. But this, like when I realized when I came back and I did that first shroom video in 2021, I was just like, I thought that was last year. If I'm being, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, same here. The past 5 years for me, especially, it's like you say, from 2019. I don't know, something just, especially with COVID as well, through lockdown, that seemed to just be a blur now, because it was sort of like I don't know what it was like in America, obviously. Yeah, I mean, well, you had it even worse than over here.
Oh my god.
It was like you were just praying every month, like, oh, please just let it be over. And it's like you just like prayed that time away, and it's like, oh god, that was like almost like a year and a half of our lives. It's gone,
dude. It's just like you just blacked out basically for that part.
Very much.
But I'm gonna share this on Instagram really quick to make sure everyone knows to go on it. There's 54 people. I saw 60 on there. That's pretty good for the first start, you know.
Yeah, literally the first few minutes.
Invite everybody.
We've got all the technical difficulties over with now as well. It's just we're riding the wave.
Yeah, and be sure to like too if you haven't already. It says I got 1 like so far, so we gotta put that shit up. We don't want to have 1 like on there.
Give us a few likes. Love the likes.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Wait. No. I was just wrong. I have 18, so that's good. Okay. We are. Yes. Okay. So this has probably been the weirdest intro ever for anything. But basically, this is going to be a podcast where we talk about, mostly psychedelic things, experiences, aliens, hopefully, and just our personal experiences on YouTube. But for the first episode, we're just going to be going over basic stuff, things that we just covered before getting on here about our YouTube and other experiences. So, because we don't want to get too into depth with it, because that could be future episodes, and we can use that. Because if we do everything right now, then what's the point?
Well, of one episode.
So, all right. So we decided we want to talk about our YouTube first, and so let me ask you, Vivek, how did you start this thing, or how did you get into it?
Well, it's an interesting question because it's so mad because you're directly involved there. I don't. I've talked about this a lot before.
Hmm.
So the way I literally got into it because obviously I've always been into psychedelics and I've always like dipped my toes in trip reports. And funnily enough, it was actually in lockdown of 2020. Yeah, 2020 lockdown, and I started to have sleep issues at night, and I was like, oh, I need something to just sort of get me off to sleep. And I was like, oh, I like creepypastas, but they weren't really doing it for me because I guess I love creepypastas, but I wanted something a bit more raw. So I just typed in trip reports on YouTube, and then you came up, of course, someone that's known and blurry. Obviously, you three, the trifecta of trip reports.
Yeah.
I consider like literally just binged all the content. I could not go a night without it. And then it got to a point where it's so funny how it works because there's like one timeline where I never did it and I just gave it up. And it was because I emailed someone that's no one with my very first trip report, the one where I ran around naked in Manchester. And I wrote it up for him. Like I wrote it up for him to read out. And he didn't end up. He must have not seen it, or just didn't decide to feature it, which was actually the best thing that could have ever happened. Because I just thought, wait, I've got a YouTube channel already. I had like 2,000 subs from when because I was quite. I had this big series, Attack on Titan Abridged, back in the day. Abridged series, take like an anime, it's like a comedy, do your own thing with it, and that got quite big in the early 2010s. And then I finished the series. I was like, oh, I'm done with YouTube. So then I was like, why don't I resurrect it and just do it myself? Why don't I narrate it myself? And then skip 4 years later, and now we're doing this podcast. How
Full
bizarre!
circle. For full fucking circle. This is
I remember that time when Blurry made the Snapchat group, didn't he? The drug
yep.
tubers.
Yep.
Because Blurry got in contact with me. I was actually at a festival. I was at Bloodstock Festival, this metal festival, and I was just checking my phone. I was like, I went to my girlfriend at the time and said, "Oh my god, you know that Blurry guy I've been watching? He's just messaged me on he's commented on a video saying, do you want to join like the Drug Tuber Alliance?" I was like, oh my god, Tess from the trip and someone that's no one's in there.
Right.
And then before I know it, we're all proper good pals making content together. It's crazy.
That's so funny. All from different parts of the world. Like I know me and someone that's
Yeah.
known are pretty close together compared to like you and me or you and him and Blurry. I think
Yeah.
he's pretty close to you. Well, I knew he was living in Australia for a bit, so I guess he was probably the
Mm,
farthest away from everybody. But yeah,
yeah.
when he set that up and we got all together, it just kind of like it felt like I was doing something. I felt like I was
Yes.
like part of something, and we can do something from it. Because at that time I was just starting back up because previously
Mm,
the first thing I ever did, this is my channel. If anyone was here from before I started doing these, I just uploaded vlogs. Me and my friends would do fun stuff, just upload the most random shit. Like I don't even know, it'd just be just just the stupidest thing ever. But and then I just decided to do read Datura reports. And because
mm.
I was always interested in reading Airwood reports for a channel. I had that idea like a couple years before I actually wanted to do it, and I finally did it, and I did it, and that video just went up and up, and it's still one of the most popular videos I have from 2019, and that was before the Comedy Central one. So let's make that clear, people. Before Comedy Central, they did theirs. That was mine.
Mm. Yeah, I know, right?
Because there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, you copied that." It's like, no, they copied me.
Yeah,
But
literally.
yeah,
It's the perfect name though, isn't it? It's so good. They must have seen yours or just had that eureka moment because like
right.
it's just
Because
you couldn't think of a better name. It just said everything you know. It says everything you need to know about the content of the channel, doesn't it?
And it was I think you were saying before it was just a spin-off of the Tales from the Crypt, and that's where I got the
Yeah.
Trip Keeper from, because from the Crypt
Yeah.
Keeper, I know
Yeah.
someone named me that and I forgot who they were, but thank you so much. That's like another perfect name for it.
Yeah, because I watched that show as well, and I instantly made
Yeah,
that connection.
right. That
Obviously, a very
that's
creepy
that
show about creepy stories as well.
yeah.
It's just perfect
This
storm,
is
isn't it?
the drug version of it.
I should briefly say the reason I'm called Vivek is because I mean I'm a massive gamer, super love my games. I mean well, I was already into like spirituality, sort of just like metaphysics and psychedelics anyway. And the reason I'm called Vivek is actually Vivek in Sanskrit, Vivek. You Americans will know him from Vivek Ramaswamy probably, but that's an actual name in Sanskrit that means like I believe it means wisdom or like consciousness. So that's just ties in really well. But also the deeper element, Vivec. So there's a character in the Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, and he's called Vivek. and it's really interesting because his sort of energy is sort of like channels like our real world non-duality. Like he's not a male, he's a female, he's like an entity, he's like a god. Like he's basically a character in the game that's realized he's a fictional entity, like he's an illusion. And I was like, well, this sort of ties into everything that I talk about. So yeah, that's where my name comes from. And then brilliant name, someone that's no one as well, and
Hmm.
blurry. I think they're great names as well. Like because obviously someone that's no one, that's famous blue light thing, wasn't that? Oh yeah, someone that isn't me took this chemical and
Right.
blurry. It's
Right.
literally yeah.
That
So
would be
all those
another perfect name for a channel. Just name it Swim, all capital letters. That would be like the alternate to someone that's known. That would be like because Swim was
mm,
very popular up until like the early 2010s. I haven't seen it in a while, but if you look at the old
yeah.
reports, there's Swim all over. Like it's just so interesting to see that. Like it's just like looking back in the archives of it. It's just it's like a historical artifact almost. Just seeing
It
that.
is. Yeah, Blue Light was the one. That was the one for me back in the day. Like I knew of Iroid, but Blue Light was the one I used to. When I first sort of started getting into even like substance experimentation, it was the place to go. There's loads of good guides on there. It's a lot more focused than say like subreddits. People seem to take it a bit more seriously.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Although someone just said, is Vivek planning on putting his vids on Spotify? I was actually going to mention that before because you were saying about how well you're doing on Spotify. I'd like to do it, but I think I need to I need to basically experiment with it because obviously I use a lot of video game music, and Spotify has a bit of a thing about uploading other music that's like YouTubers I watch use video game music, and that's what inspired me to use it. But on Spotify, I think it's a bit of a grey area. So if I did that, I would do sort of yeah blank music, no music or ambient music, say like what you use.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, what's the ambient sort of track that you use? Where did you get that from?
Well, my secret was so back when I actually liked Stranger Things before it just became just like a pop fucking just
Oh
like
yeah,
everyone watches it now, but like I actually enjoyed the first season. But there's a song
me
in there
too.
called Eulogy, and it was basically that a sad song when people would die, like when that one guy, Bob, when he got eaten by the
Mm.
monsters. I would use that, and I Paul stretched it, slowed it down, reverbed it, compressed it, and I basically made it into that. You could basically do that with any kind of song you want, but it just sounds it's like the perfect background music for it because it's scary,
Yeah,
but it gets you like situated in it, you know. So I
yes,
just been doing
it's a good
that.
balance.
Right.
That's why I use a lot of say because I think I love using the video game music because I mean I had a whole life of playing games and also being massive into music, and I'm like right, there's certain games, Silent Hill, Resident Evil,
Hmm.
they have that, it's like ambient, but it's ominous, but it's also relaxing in a sense. The worst music you can use is anything that's too almost too like melodic, too
Right.
direct. Like yeah, you've got to have that balance, and I've experimented with that for a long time. And I get some comments like, "Please stop using the scary music. It's giving me nightmares." And I was like, I bet we've given a lot of people some funky dreams, haven't we?
Back when I had my guitar riff outro where I go down, down, down.
Oh yeah, yeah,
If people would be sleeping and then all you hear is that guitar riff and then people would wake up and I get so many mean
yeah,
comments like that. I don't want that shit anymore. But hey, it was fun, you know. And also the
yeah.
War of the Worlds tripod music or the sounds
Mm.
to begin with. That was yeah. Before it was
Oh
just
yeah.
very loud, but now it's like more of a soothing. I think the way to go is just being soothing because you're soothing with it too, and it's just you know
Mm.
it's that's how you get people to listen and fall asleep to it or with whatever they choose to do with it, painting, you know, drawing, eating, maybe
Mm.
even, you know, just a whole bunch of options you can do.
Yeah, because I bet you've had a lot of people that say how they consume your content. I'd say the overall bulk of people who listen to it say is for sleep, but a
Yeah.
lot of people just like the driving. Like I've had like loads of like taxi drivers, truck drivers, or people who work in an office when they can have like their earbuds in, or anyone who's just doing something like in a rote way, like they're working a few hours. Oh, what's the best thing to sort of like calm me down, but also be interested? It's yeah, our trip reports.
Right. I actually listened to one of my things from Spotify on in my car, and dude, if you turn the volume up pretty high, like you hear the background music like crazy. It's actually an insane experience in itself. So I don't know if you ever done that,
Yeah,
but it's something.
yeah. Yeah, because I have to sort of when I do my videos, I test it out on sort of like my speakers, maybe on my phone, but I'm mainly doing it on my headphones. I'm like, I have to think to myself, right, not everybody is listening to this with headphones, so how does it sound on a TV or even in a car? Yeah, I've listened to like some of my stuff in a car, and I'm like, whoa, fucking hell, you can really hear the ambient background music here.
Right.
That's one thing I would like to get a bit better at, maybe, is sort of mastering the audio for different. You know how people like master tracks, like when they're producing
Yeah.
like an electronic music track, where make sure that it sounds good on all devices. I'd like to get a bit better at that, maybe. But like you say, that we've been experimenting with this over the years, haven't we? And you get better, you make mistakes, you learn from them, and that's what I love. Constructive comments like, "Oh, bro, your mic's." You're picking up something like lip flaps at this point. Oh,
Right.
use this software rather than why is this guy always flapping his lips? I fucking hate it. Or whatever. I get a lot of them, so I'm like, oh, chill out.
Yeah, it's a difference when you actually like try to be nice and say something like, "Hey, this is happening on here. I thought you should know," versus like, "Man,
Mm,
you fucking suck. I hope you die." Something like that.
I
There's a big
know.
difference between that. So if you want to point something out and put it our way, just be nice and descriptive with it, and just say like, "Hey, we're doing this wrong. Maybe be on the lookout for it." But yeah,
Yeah, because that's really helpful. Because that helps. Not only does it help us out, it helps everybody else out that maybe doesn't even realize it. Because some people, I've realized that a lot of the majority of people consume our content just like it the way it is, don't they? Regardless of any like very minor
hmm
problems, you could say, like minor issues. But then there's some people who are like really tune into it, like the most slightest inconsistency. But
yeah,
and if that does bother you, just say. Just give a constructive feedback, and actually that helps. It makes it better for us as well, because then we listen to it back like, oh, this sounds even better, and you get more passionate about making it. Also, there's a guy who's spamming you. We might want to block him. That bother me none. He just keeps putting the letter N over and over
I
again.
see that. Yeah,
There's always one, isn't there?
always one.
I know.
Sorry
It
if
won't be
I had to do
alive.
that too, but
Sorry, yeah, sorry, lad. Nothing personal.
just no more ends here. We'll
Yeah,
nothing against that letter, but just
yeah.
seeing it every
He's not got
second.
his N-word pass, has he?
um,
uh,
all right, let's get on to the next thing I wanted to ask on here. So, how well do we kind of already get into how it impacted your life, or have you like we
To be
said
fair, do you want to go back?
exactly?
You go back and say how you were inspired to do it. To be fair, because I think we should do it back and forth. You say how you got into it as well, because I don't think we know the full
Okay.
story.
Okay, so I was saying before, like how I was planning to do the Arrowwood reports, and I did it, and I finally did it, and I would still do sprinkle in my other videos from before, from like my the vlogs and stuff, and then
Mm,
it started getting more and more views. And I remember when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm like, oh my god! I actually did before, like I didn't want to do face reveals 'cause I just like having a faceless YouTube. I mean, I did it on
mm,
Instagram now. You've done it too on YouTube too and Instagram.
yeah.
But I made a video of myself dancing for 100,000 or not 100, 1,000, and
Yeah.
probably there's only probably like two people who are probably still following me that saw that. But yeah, that was out there for a little bit, and yeah, I just got excited for that, and then just seeing people comment on it, I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just go full time into this. And
Yeah.
yeah, basically after that video, I would make one video every 6 months,
Mm,
around there, maybe even longer, maybe less. But then once that shroom video, I did that in September or August 2021. Seems like after that, I just was doing it weekly, and then it became, 2 to 3 times a week for a while. And right now, I'm saying it's probably about 2 times a week, just because the channel termination. I'm not monetized on my YouTube channel right now, so I'm not trying to overwork myself if I don't have to. And it's just a lot less stressful to have to like get 3 videos out while you're working at the post office. It's just like hard to combine those two together. But yeah, I mean, getting all those out, and then the second channel too. I like doing that. It's a lot more fun because I'm not I have to edit anything, and it's just like more casual speaking. So I really enjoy doing that. And some people actually prefer that channel, which is actually it's not that's
mm.
not like you're not being mean if you say that. I totally can see what you're saying. It's just like
Yeah.
it's your personal preference. But yeah, it's fun
Well,
to
it's
do
good that
both
you have
channels.
both. Yeah, you're good that you have both sides. I need to pour some more effort into my own second channel as well, because it's also nice and stressless as well, isn't it?
Right.
You can just jump on. You don't have to Because I get slightly autistic about my main channel, like fine tuning it, and I'm like, no, this was wrong, and someone's going to pick up on it. Because if I pick up on it, someone else is going to. But then on the second one, yeah, there's no qualms, is there? You just get on with it.
The worst is the mean comments on the second channel. It's like, why are you subscribed to this one? I told you this one's off the cuff. I'm gonna say whatever I want. I may fart, I may burp, I may pee in the background. You never know. That's what you're gonna get with this channel. you know that. You signed the contract.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if you didn't do that, it'd just be a copy of the main channel, and then it's like,
Exactly.
what's the point?
Right. There's no difference to it, and it's just
So maybe I need to start making more bodily noises on my second channel to make it a bit more down to earth.
People are saying here, I thought they were convinced I had a wife. Yeah, I had an inside joke on there where I was saying like my wife was annoying, but yeah, no wife. I don't have a wife, at least
That's hilarious.
not in real life.
Life,
But yeah, that was I got rid of that inside joke like a couple weeks ago. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I should bring it back, but
That's the thing. Is like another thing. Yeah, you have like these little inside jokes or references that you have within your content, and you just got to sort of realize that, oh wait, not everybody watches every single video and won't be able to pick up on it. So they just go into like, what, he has a wife? Like, what's all that about?
Exactly that. Yeah, it's funny when people are confused. It's just like, oh, yep. I went over this before, but I could see why you didn't see that.
I bet you've had this. If I've talked about it, where and I get it a lot, not as much anymore because I've really just drilled it in. Like, I'm not the one making these reports or doing them. Like, I'm not having the experience unless specified very clearly. And still, I think people basically just skip the first like 30 seconds. Some people do skip the first 30 seconds. They won't even listen to me saying written by X, posted to Y, on the date of Z. And like even the beginning where we're like, oh, please don't do these experiences and blah, blah. It's very clear that it's not our experiences.
Yeah.
And some people are just like, whoa, I had no idea. Like it was other people's experience. I thought he'd done all these drugs. It's like, my God, we'd be dead if they saw all my videos around.
Yeah,
dead.
Yeah, I used to get those a lot. Like you said, I haven't gotten in a while, but I have a funny story about how my mom thought it was me. I remember when I uploaded my GHB video from a couple years ago. I had my laptop closed, everything was closed, but it started to play while my mom was at my house and I was at work. And my mom called me freaking out like, are you doing drugs? What? Why? Are you overdosing? Are you into the hospitals? And she started flipping out. And I'm like, no, I'm just reading it for stories. And at that time, I didn't tell her what I did on YouTube, but like now she knew after that. Now she kind of just like accepts it. Like she's not upset or like angry about it or anything. No. She just doesn't like. It's kind of like Carmela Soprano just denying Tony's infidelities. Yeah. It's kind of like that a little bit.
That's a reference and a half. That,
yeah. So
yeah, because obviously, I live with my parents, and my parents they're very happy. They actually love it. They actually like watch a lot of my videos. I think they find it like very fascinating. They find it fascinating. But then one time, a relative of mine came over to the house, and I was upstairs actually making a video. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, wait. Well, obviously, he didn't say, where's Vivek? But he calls me my real name. I was always like, where's Vivek? What's he doing? He's like, I'm surprised he's not dead with all them drugs he does on that channel. And my mum was like, you do realise it's not all his? And he was like, oh, right, well, I didn't really watch it. I just skimmed it. And I was like, well, there you go. Of course.
The average skimmer.
I know, yeah.
But... yeah, it's very interesting having this and just seeing the reactions people have because you don't even like, I don't know if you get DMs like this or anything. Like if someone sends you a DM and they like say, oh, I love your videos or whatever it may be. And then you respond to them and they're like, you actually responded?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I'm a real person.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand, I empathize with that because I mean, if I started talking to my favorite YouTubers on Instagram, there's so many people I look up to and sort of I idolize it in a sense. Not idol worship though, because there's a very difference between sort of like appreciating someone and then treating them like a godlike entity. Mm-hmm. But if I message out, I don't know, like actually the other day I forgot to tell you, I went on Your Movie Sucks' stream on YouTube, and he was watching like Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he just streams himself watching it. And I just went on, I put like love you forever, Adam, and he was like, oh, cheers, Vivek. Like immediately, I was like, oh my God, he noticed me, senpai. And that was, I was like, oh, I got a bit of a taste of when, like, say, someone messages us and they're like, well, I had no idea you'd actually apply. This is really bizarre having a YouTuber reply to me. And I'm like, again, you're the same. I don't really think into like, no, I shouldn't be talking to these people. I love the community. Like, I love
Right.
talking to people. It feels like not only something you should do, but also
Hmm.
something I'm just inclined to do. I don't even like think twice about. Like, I went on my Discord voice chat for the first time the other day. I've had it set up, and loads of people use it. And I've just been, I don't know why I've never jumped on. And I was just like, right, but it's time to finally jump on it. It's a 1 year anniversary, and I got on, and I was very. I think the reason I was a bit apprehensive because I've had a lot of people on sort of the DMs like. Again, sort of the idol worship, you all have that as well. Though they treat you like like a religious figure or something. And I
Hmm.
was like, I went on the Discord and people like talk to me like a person because that's just what we are. We're just people that have a platform, aren't we? At the end of the day,
Hmm.
and so I really appreciate it. I really appreciate when people, yeah, talk to me like an actual
Oh,
down to earth human because that's what we are, aren't we?
it is definitely the greatest feeling. And like I always say to people, I put on my Instagram a lot too, like I try to respond to everyone as I can, but you know, with my anxiety and depression and stuff, I get
Mm,
stressed out kind of easily. So like if I don't respond, just don't never take it personally, people. Never take it personally, because it's just like, so
no.
especially when the channel termination happened, when I woke up to like 100 messages, my mind, like especially with the termination added onto that, plus on Twitter, everywhere, like my mind just kind of
Yeah.
blew up. And you know, I've been traumatized ever since. But
Mm. And
but
obviously your Instagram's like exploded, hasn't it, as well? So I bet you get like quadruple the messages I do as well. That's fucking crazy. Because obviously your memes and that have really taken off, haven't they? I think that was such a good idea because obviously we both started doing it at the same time, didn't we? Like, right, we've got this Instagram. I'm not really like, obviously I post updates on my story about what I'm doing and that, but the posts, like Instagram is just the place for memes, isn't it? And especially
hmm
if you tie it in with the content, drug related, psychedelic related, anything a bit weird.
right.
It's a great side hustle, isn't it? And yeah, yours is exploded. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, it's currently I'm like in the mix of being shadow banned and unshadow banned. Like for a couple
Oh
days I'll be
shit.
shadow banned, then another day I'll go up. Before it
Mm.
was just going straight up, but now I don't know what the hell happened. But I can't collaborate with people anymore right now.
Oh
I can't
damn.
go
Yeah, I thought
live.
that other day. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
saw that other day because obviously you tagged me in the thing. I was like, oh, there's no option to request collaboration. That's so
yeah.
weird.
So that helps out a lot, especially with my spam with the Deter God page. I love to get followers on that too, because I'm almost at
Mm.
2,000 for that, which is insanity as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it is fun to connect with the people. I love reading comments. It's just that's the best part about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
just especially the positive. Just that makes you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, the positive comments we both have and the messages, emails, and whatever is just it's the serious fuel to the fire here, isn't it? It's what keeps us going.
Hmm.
It's so awesome. You just really just quite hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? Because I mean, we're genuinely, I think both of us very just like normal-ish guys that have just stumbled into like this like glimpse of fame, quote unquote. 'Cause it's not like being a real celebrity, is it? But it's still weird to think, like, oh my God, so many people are actually listening to your voice and know who you are, and it's weird to be thrust into that world. And I mean, we're doing it for years, but it still feels very fresh, doesn't it? It still feels like we've only been doing it for a short amount of time. It's going to
Yeah,
go on for a very long time, I hope.
yeah. I hope too. I mean, it's just is. But the only problem is with this AI thing growing, that could like someone there'll be replications of our voices and stuff, and people will probably use it against us at some point. But as long
We
as
need
you,
to be prepared.
yeah, whatever. Because did you notice that thing on the YouTube upload where it says, "Is this AI or not?" Did they add that to your studio yet?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reasons why my channel got terminated. I think that was like a little bit of it because since I do not show my face in my videos. I think that's a
Mm.
reason why they were like, okay, maybe this guy is actually AI, and but. And they just
Yeah.
came up with
And
another excuse, but yeah, I
yeah,
guess that's a good thing.
the initial accusation though of selling drugs through the
Oh my
platform,
god.
That's actually horrendous that they can accuse you of doing that based on no basis whatsoever.
Right. And as much as you try to prove to them that you didn't, they just did not listen at all.
Yeah.
And that was just.
Nope, you're definitely selling drugs. Definitely selling drugs.
And I saw on there's a couple of Reddit threads like YouTube drama r/YouTube. Like people were saying that about me too. It's like you did not. I never did that. No one ever said that. It's just like it's what they said, and like the people that are spreading it. It's just like why are you spreading something that's not even true? But
Well, that's very concerning, isn't it? I
mhm,
mean, already the internet loves to explode and take things out of context, and
right.
so much hearsay, and then they use people's sort of yeah, emotional reactivity against them. Oh my God, did you hear about Tales from the Trip? He's been selling drugs. Like no
Hmm.
evidence, no context. But you don't even need to give it because you guarantee people will react to it. So it's so shocking. They'll tell
Right.
their mate. They'll make another thread, and it's like bloody hell. And then
And
and then
yeah.
YouTube start made what if YouTube start looking at it like, oh well, it must be true if they've made a Reddit thread about it.
It's just those headline readers that just read the first like word, first sentence. They're like, okay, I got to roll with this now. They don't look into
Yeah.
the context of it. But um,
Mm.
yeah, oh,
Because, like I say, before we started, because obviously when it first woke up in the morning, I was like, I got loads of messages. Well, like, bro, Tales from the Trip, he's gone. They've finally taken him out, and I'm like, oh my God, it's D-Day's finally come. And they're like, and they're like, everyone's like, you're next, and I had to just sort of like do a lot of damage control and just like, look, right, everyone, chill out, right? Let's just think about this realistically. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks. The guy's gonna get his channel back. The worst thing you can do is lose your heads about it. Go on the Twitter. You should go to the Twitter and spam them. Like, I remember I put this community post out. Somebody said, I really had your back big time. And I was like,
mhm.
right, just
Yeah,
go
thanks
onto
for
the
that. That was
Twitter.
good.
Yeah, no worries. We've got to do it, haven't we? We're in it together.
Hmm.
And I remember saying there was a comment. He got seriously downvoted. It was like the bottom comment, and people were going mad at him, like, oh, why would you spam your Team YouTube and make someone's job harder than it is? I was like, mate, the Team YouTube account is not a real person.
No.
It's a robot.
No sympathy for that. That's just
No,
especially
no.
yeah, it's just like casino workers who you spend money on and you like you do some sort of like way to get your money like you card counting
Yeah,
and they get mad at you for it. It's like, well, you're stealing my
yeah,
money to begin with, so like what the hell?
exactly. Perfect analogy.
All right, let's so this can go in together like about how YouTube has impacted your life, but also like what's the best part of having it and the worst part of having your YouTube?
Mm. I'll do the worst part first because I can immediately think that, and I even said it before. The worst part is definitely the super unhinged people who I obviously have deep empathy for, but it
Right.
really does put me in a tricky position when they're like, their lives are seriously out of whack, and I've had to deal with this a lot on the Discord. People who jump in, 99% of people who come in the Discord are all sound, but a lot, some are deliriant users and like inhalant users, or
Yeah.
basically people who've got a serious drug abuse problem, and they're just sort of like ventilating into the Discord or in my DMs, and they like expect me to help them or sort their lives out because it obviously places a lot of importance on the
Hmm.
content. And then I have to, I have to be, yeah, it causes me a bit of stress because I'm like, this is a very tricky situation because this person's like seriously out of control, and I have
Right.
to be very careful with what I say. But but now I've sort of managed it where I'm like, right, mate, you need to seek professional help. I'm not a professional, and I state this a lot. I can't help you psychologically. And the only best thing I can say is, I think you've got a drug abuse problem. Your best bet is to sort this out. Go to rehab, get psychological help, and then it gets even worse when they come back to me like, no, I've been to rehab. I've got a psychologist. It's not working. The only I need to take 10 grams of mushrooms to find myself. And I was like, you are the worst person to take 10 grams of mushrooms.
Right.
And then it starts to make me reflect on my most people I mean most people who watch the content I'd say are very open-minded and conscious and wise, and like when I do a 10 gram mushroom trip report, it's very clear, or a delirium trip report is very clear that you shouldn't be doing this. I expect delirium, just don't do it. 10 gram mushroom trip report. There'll be people, 10 gram mushroom trip. There'll be people out there who are built for it, but majority of people are not, and they get this idea that they are. And I've had so many people come in my DMs like, bro, I'm gonna take 9 grams for my first trip. Like, do you have any advice? And I was like, mate, my advice is to not do it. And they just can't get through their heads, and I'm like, oh, this is where it gets a bit worrying. But the best part about it is just, yeah, like I say, building the community. I actually just love making the videos. I'm a bit addicted to doing it. Like, it's so fulfilling. And it's creative, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the voice work. Our voice work has evolved so much from
Oh
like
my
our very
God.
first video.
Very big
I sound
difference.
like I sound like I don't know if you ever watched Jerry Jackson. It's this very famous English Newgrounds cartoon. And like, hello, this is my trip report, and I took this. And you go to it now, it's like we're doing like audiobook level narration. It's just
Right.
great to see it evolve over time.
Yeah, I was very aggressive when I first started. I had used a higher pitch. Like I just talked my normal voice with aggression, but now it's just like you got to be smooth, calm with
Mm,
it. You know, just very not monotonous, but just like have some emotion added to like a deep voice. You know, just not very subtle. I'd say. You know, not something overpowering because you don't because sometimes that could attract something bad things on the channel if you're just like too like into it. You know, you just can't. You got to be just go with the flow, be smooth, and it end up good. Yeah.
And like yeah, just one of the best parts is yeah honing your craft because you get better and better each time. I try to constantly improve myself just in a marginal sense, even just tiny little bits, like maybe enunciate a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and this is how you get to reading audiobooks, don't you? On Audible, like you listen to an audiobook. I was listening to like the Silmarillion the other day, like one of the Lord of the Rings books.
Okay.
Andy Serkis is reading it, and it's just crazy,
Really.
crazy how eloquent the narration is, and that only comes about from years and years and years of doing it, and the same 5 years, like bloody hell, what our voices are going to sound like? That is going to be
Right.
crazy because
Right. That. Yeah.
it's not gonna stagnate, is it?
No. Yeah. It's definitely never gonna go down. It's always gonna improve just a little bit at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, because I've noticed even from last year, like I'd say from in the middle from 21 22, that was when it was like it was a mix between when I first started and now, but now like late 2023 to now is when I'm just got I think I'm at a good spot with it, especially recording in the morning. I don't know if you like to do that, like just because my voice gets the deepest
Mm,
like right when I wake up, and I try to get it as good as I can because I
mm,
also my brain moves slower. So
mm,
with that happening, like I can read the words slower and it just goes smoothly. Because when I'm like talking, like just after probably like 3 4 o'clock at PM, your
mm,
mind is just racing. It's been racing a lot, and you read it faster, you might make more mistakes, but in the morning you just get it really smooth and you can just control
mm.
yourself. And I find I hardly mess up in the morning. I don't know about you though.
Yeah, I need to be in sort of a peak state to do it. I'll do like stuff beforehand. I've actually got this. It's called a Shakti mat. It's like a bed of nails, sort of, or based upon the bed of nails, and you lie on it for like an hour, and it relaxes you so much, like sort of removes loads of brain fog. I'll go do
Hmm.
that, and maybe I'll go on a walk or something. I'm like, right, I'm in the peak state. I'm like, I've relaxed my mind, and then I notice I'll do a report in that state, and sometimes if I'm lucky, I can do the report without any mistakes at all, and I'm like, whoa, this is you're in a serious flow state. Then there's other days. Well, I'm like, right, I just need to do a video now because I'm absolutely gagging to do one. And then I'll do
Now
like
you're
50
ready.
takes, and then it's like, oh no, it's just not as smooth. And I guess it's not as noticeable for people listening, but when you're making it, it's so noticeable, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely see a difference, and yeah,
Mm,
and it's bad though when there's when you have a very minor mistake we were talking about before this stream even started, like you notice it, but most people
mm,
probably won't. It's just like it's that's what you think is everyone's going to notice because you're every. I mean, this just goes with every person, not just you or me. Like you worry about every imperfection you have, and it's really just if it's a small thing, no one's gonna care. Only people that are gonna care are just like people who just mention everything that point out every single little thing. So it's like, do you want to appease them or do you just want to appease the people who just love listening to you and watching you? That's
mm.
a choice you got to make, and you got to go with the latter on that one.
Yeah, and that's another thing that ties into probably maybe the worst part about it for me, just making it is sometimes trying to appeal to too many people and sort of losing that niche where it's like, okay, maybe some person doesn't like how you said this or they don't like how you
Mm-hmm.
pronounce that, and like if you think too much into it, then you're getting lost in the details and minutia. Whereas if you just gotta be, people love what people love about YouTube, isn't it? It's like authenticity, isn't it? And even in real
Yeah.
life, people just love authenticity. And yeah, I think we channel that quite well.
It's
So, what's your best and worst quality about it?
Well, I probably say it probably has to be pretty similar to yours, but the worst part, well, okay, now that I've actually experienced this, is the uncertainty. I'll have to say that's probably the worst part because just any
Yeah.
time it can just go, gone, just like that, and you just got to worry about that. But you try not to think about that. But now I'm always thinking of it. It's always on my mind. But
I
yeah,
bet.
just the negative comments too. Like I especially when it's just like why even say something like that? It's just like because they just sit behind a computer screen and say whatever they want, and I know they're not like they're not worth worrying over, but that gets you sometimes with some comments you see, especially just the really
Yeah.
stupid ones I have to post on my stories and something. I'm like, did this person really just say this to me?
Yeah,
But
it's for a long time I was really quite. I was like, right, I've been doing this for ages anyway. I used to do loads of. I mean, when I made Attack on Titan Abridged, oh my god, everyone hated it. Like people, well, not everyone hated it, but a big chunk of people disliked it because it wasn't like the other Abridged series. It was very much just like an autistic teenager getting on his computer and that somehow managed to have a bit of success. So there was a lot more like vitriol back then. But now, when I got back into it again, I was like, all right, I've already experienced this. But then you get like different flavors of negativity. Like some of them
mhm.
I just laugh at. Like I always say, because obviously we were in that Discord of the other YouTubers and the other psych tubers, and I posted like that guy said, "Oh, you are the mouthpiece of the Antichrist," and I was like, "That's hilarious. I love stuff like that." But then there's people who like really dig at you as like who you are, like trying to
Yeah,
make you out to be. Yeah, it's something. There's something wrong about you. And like another thing that really disturbs me is obviously I lean a lot into like sort of the mystical, sort of like the religious elements, and I've had like a real influx of sort of very diehard Christian people sort of implying that like I'm a heretic, which is funny, but then you're like, oh, what this person like genuinely despises you, don't they? Like
yeah, yeah,
they might even want you dead, like, which is,
right.
and that's what's bizarre. Like a lot of other YouTubers, and like Mr. Beast, not all these super big YouTubers, you're not a normal person anymore. You cannot go and walk about in your local town, can you anymore?
No,
There's just too many risks, and that's a bit of a not a fear, but like just something to keep that I've kept in mind. Like this is gonna keep growing. If we, I mean, we're not gonna sack it off, are we? It's just gonna keep growing. Psychedelics and substances are becoming more having a bit of mainstream appeal. It's just going to get bigger and bigger, and then it's like realistically, you do have to imagine. I think you imagine, like, what if we do get to 1 million subscribers? It's like that's your stuff does change. Then, like,
yeah,
a
that's
lot of people know who you are.
I always think about like I look at my subscriber count right now. It's at 156, I think, 156,000. And I'm just like imagining if all those people were in front of me, what it would look
Yeah.
like. Like that many people are subscribed to you. Like it's just insane to me to think about. And
Mm,
yeah, there's like a lot of people who are watching, and yeah, that's another freaky part about it. Just like, are there stalkers online? Are they? Because I've definitely had some weird DMs I've gotten in the past about just I don't want to go into detail with them, but there's some weird things. I'm like, that's another reason why I try to keep my my revealing my personal stuff, my face, my where I live and stuff. I try to keep it as vague as possible because if you do go out in public and they do see you, then they might know where you live and they're gonna follow you wherever, and you just got to worry about that. That's why I don't want to like give too much
yeah,
out. That's why people they're always before I did a face reveal on Instagram, people were just begging me every single day, and it's like it's not that I don't want to show
mm,
my face. It's just that there's a privacy reason out there. I don't want
yeah,
people to get out, and it's nothing because I don't want anyone to see it. It's just for that specific
yeah.
reason because people get
No, I
doxxed
knew
through
that
so many things. Like
immediately, yeah, and I enjoyed like obviously I've started being a lot more open now with like just the physical element now because I'm like right okay this is like for me it's like the next chapter. What I'm doing is like right there's a
hmm
new type of content. It's doing actually like quite a lot better than like my general trip reports. It's like maybe this is where my content's leaning. But for a long time, I was like, right, I actually enjoyed the anonymity as well because
yeah.
the topics are very sort of there's an anonymous element to them, so I liked that the mystique of it.
hmm
I don't think I'll never reveal my real name. Like I like the just the mystique of just Vivek, and obviously you do it
That
the
is your
Trip
real name.
Keeper. Yeah, oh yeah, true. Oh yeah, I forgot. Of course I know him. He's me.
He's that red guy.
Uh, yeah, but then obviously I told you before, and I think this is a bit more. It's like this. I think I'll end up dealing with this more commonly is because I mean the UK is very small, super small,
Hmm.
so there's more of a chance of me bumping into people that know
Right.
the channel. Even though like only 10% of my audience is actually from the UK, I feel like
Damn, I thought it'd be more
yeah,
than that.
I did as well, but 53.2% of my audience is all from the States. But I go to the States and like that's a lot of land to walk between. I go to one city, no one has a clue. But like I go in the UK, I remember first time I got recognised, I went to Comic Con Manchester,
I remember
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, a furry came up to me like, "You look like you do psychedelics," and I was like, I really don't, especially with how I was dressed. Like I was doing like cosplay. I was like, this is something else is going on here. He didn't explicitly say that he knew the channel, but like you make like psychedelic content. I was like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then before I knew it, was like, do you want to do DMT in the disabled toilets? And I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going on here. But yeah, and then obviously very recently, just been going out in my own local town. And like, I'm very one thing I'm open about. I'm very open like in my own like personal town because like a very small town where I come from, and it's like I do. I mean, I don't even think into my YouTube half the time until something like this happens. Like someone comes up to you, like taps you on the shoulder, like, "Oh my God, you're Vivek," and I'm like, shit, yeah, I am. And I don't think it. I just think I'm like a normal person. I don't have like. Basically, I don't like to have like an influencer ego because I don't think of that on myself. But then, yeah, man, like just going about, and then there's a different energy now for me going about in the city where I'm from, and like just people knowing it sort of like on a mass scale now. I'm like, whoa, this is actually weird to be like quote unquote because I hate this word famous because it's got so many connotations, but that's really what it is like to be the most famous person in your area, especially how small the UK is. It's like, whoa, this is quite bizarre. But you just gotta embrace it, haven't you? Don't resist it and just roll with it, haven't you? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the way of life now, and
Yeah.
what you're
No
saying
going back.
about yeah, how do you want you don't want to use that word famous exactly how I feel about when someone says when you're on Patreon or it says on the community post like post to your fans like I
Oh
the
yeah.
word fan freaks me out like I do not want to have fans.
Yeah.
Those are my
No.
viewers, they're my viewers, not my fans.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
I just
Your viewers are your community, isn't it? It's a lot more wholesome. Yeah, fans, they literally it's a fanatic, isn't it?
yeah,
Basically.
like
Yeah.
like if you're a band like Led Zeppelin, you got fans for Led Zeppelin. I'm a
Yeah.
fan of them. But
Yeah.
it's different for YouTubers because we're just like we're big, but it's like we're small in the grand scheme of things. We're just like big
Oh
in
yeah.
a sort of community. It's like how Earth is just in part of the solar system, part of the universe. It's just like we're big, but we could still be bigger. Especially like Mr. Beast. He's like the sun.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's so relative, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, and then Mr. Beast, he's the big one now, but the sun can get even bigger, and then I could have a supernova YouTuber who's
Oh
got
my
like a
god,
billion subscribers in the future, which I just feel like it's inevitable, isn't it? That
it
there'll be
is.
super numbers for subscribers in the future. It's not slowing down. It's
No,
only getting
I
faster.
think he's got like 200 something billion now. Let me go check. Yeah,
That's
it's
just
insanity. All of his videos get so many. Like, I gotta wonder how much money he's raking in because that is
mm,
just. I don't even want to know probably. But if I am very interested a little bit though. But he has.
yeah, quite a disturbing amount of money that I feel like he has absolutely. I mean, this is how he makes his videos, doesn't he? Like he keeps ramping them up because a lot of it goes back into the content creation. But actually, watched this video quite a while ago and said like, what is it like for Mr. Beast mentally? And apparently, he's like super super stressed out, like almost like obsessively addicted to his YouTube, where like he gets home from like doing a video and there's no relaxation time. The first thing he thinks of is like, how do I outdo myself in the next video? And that's when you get serious burnout. I mean, I've
Yeah,
already experienced a bit of burnout, and I bet you have, but
me
like
too.
that is on
Yeah.
another level.
Right. Because he's got 252 million now, and the video he
Mm,
uploaded from a day ago has 44 million views. So just think about that. 40 minutes long, probably all the ads you can get for a 40-minute video. That's that's millions of dollars right there.
mm,
Oh, man, that's yeah. That's another negative too. It's just like you got to worry about how much you're going to stress yourself
mm.
out. But yeah, that's why I try to keep it, on the download now, especially after the termination. Just keep it regular, and then if I want to upload frequently, just go to my second channel because it literally does not like it does not cause me any stress. It's so easy. It's
Yeah.
kind of like almost a therapist session, pretty much on there. Good, but
Yeah,
my
I want to
main
start doing it
the
where
actual
like
work.
you inspired me with like your movie list where it's like just literally get on your laptop or whatever, put the mic on, just talk about your favorite things, and it's actually great to do that because when else have you been able to talk freely about these things that you really
Right.
care about? And I want to start doing that because again, yeah, great therapy session. Like you don't care if it does well or doesn't do well
Right.
because you're doing it for almost you just yeah your own benefit in a sense.
And if it does do well, that's like the greatest feeling ever. Like, oh
Yeah, that's
man.
sick. I
um,
want to do one of them. Like I've had this in my mind for my second channel where I'll just post whatever. Like, I do a lot of like sort of festival vlogs on there. They do pretty well.
yeah.
And I want to do like those. You probably watch them like, you know, like, they'll do a series retrospective, like Sopranos retrospective or Breaking
Yeah.
Bad or something.
Yeah.
And I want to do one for like a really niche. There's this. Do you know Doctor Who, don't you?
Yeah.
Everyone knows
Yeah.
Doctor Who. So there's the spin off of it called Torchwood, and it's like Skins, Euphoria, sort of like drugs, sex, and just like hedonism meets Doctor Who, like supernatural element. It's really underrated show, and it's like actually really deep. And I looked online, I was like, oh, does anyone ever done like a Torchwood retrospective that's done well? And there isn't one. I was like, oh, that's a nice little niche, especially if you do like a 8 hour retrospective video. Them videos just guaranteed they explode, don't they? These
Oh
massive
my
retrospective
God.
videos.
Yeah. The more hours, the more videos you'll get at 12 in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's like especially with I don't know if you're familiar with Wendigoon, but he gets
Oh yeah.
he uploads like hour like fucking 4 hour long videos and they get millions. So it's just like, you know, once you get that following, you could start doing that. But if you know just
Mm,
because I do want to get away from like I don't want to get away from drug content. I still want to do it, but like I also want to do my
yeah.
own thing. That's why I love doing the second channel. I could do whatever I want on there.
Yeah.
No one's really no one can really say anything. I just because I do what I want and I just
Mm,
whenever I want and it's just a fun time. Like I had this idea. I want to do it, but I don't know how to start it. It's just well, I guess I would know how to start it, but if you do like let's say with The Sopranos, Christopher Moltisanti drug experience, but from his perspective, like when he uh,
mm.
when he went. Oh, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but when him and Tony were making that cleanup, I want to do something like that where he said, "I did that," but like what was going
Yeah,
through his mind in that. I think that would be a good idea because that can
good
tie
way to
in
tie it
with my
in.
channel.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. You've got to get that when you want to sort of branch out. You can't branch out too much because
no,
you guarantee people aren't going to watch it unless it's your die-hard subscribers, which there
right,
will be. People watch anything you put out. But especially when you put a lot of heart and soul into like alternative content, and then there's just no traction.
right,
You've got to do a bit of mass appeal there. You've got to relate it back to the core of your channel or the things that people are looking for. And
yeah,
yeah, I've had a bit of a made these videos a while ago because when I got back into YouTube in 2020, I was like, right, well, I've not really got a massive following right now. I'm having to build it back up, so I'll just experiment with everything. And I did 2 episodes of the best movies to watch while you're tripping or high. And I thought in my head, I was like, well, this is actually a really great idea. Didn't take off, and then a few years later, now the algorithms picked it back up, the first part, and I was like, oh, here we go. So that's now in the pipeline. The third episode, I was like, right, great. People like I mean, a lot of people watch movies when they're high, don't they? Tripping, that's
oh
like the
yeah,
go-to thing. And loads of people who watch our content, I mean, who isn't into like movies and games and music and just fiction and media in general. So
right,
tying it back in, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you could do there. Even like
hmm
psychedelic music, the best psychedelic rock albums or the best albums inspired by drug use or something. That's a good thing that could take off that you
right.
should experiment with.
I
Because you did a bit of that,
remember.
didn't you?
Yeah, I remember when I was actually first started when I came back in 2021. I remember you commented on the video the top, not top four, but like the musicians who died from drug overdoses. And I remember you commented on that. And I remember you had more subscribers than me at the time. You had like 3,000, and I was like still under 1,000, or I had like 1,000. And I was like, oh
Oh
my
my
god,
God, yeah.
a big YouTuber. They commented on my
That
stuff.
was ages ago.
Yeah, that was
That's
that was
crazy.
damn. Yeah. Now that felt like a long
That
time ago, but everything else
yeah.
doesn't. But yeah, that was exciting to see that. But it was fun to do that. Just write a script on things I enjoy, especially, and then just tie it in with the drugs, like talking about my favorite musicians and how they died, and it's just that was a lot of fun to do. And I did another video on the movie Dread. I think you might have seen that one too, where I did
Yeah.
a trip report on the drug slow mo from that movie. That was a lot of fun to do because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just I was always, even before like drugs were a thing that I knew about, like I always thought it was interesting to see what would happen to these people in that movie for it. And it was just, yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea to make a trip report about that. And even though it doesn't have as much views as, my normal videos, it was
Mm.
still a lot of fun to make. And, people who
And
enjoyed
I
it
bet,
really
yeah,
enjoyed it.
exactly. Yeah, I bet the people who liked it were like, "Oh, might be like one of my favorite
Right,
videos of him."
right.
And yeah, 100%. I've had in my mind, obviously, the big thing at the minute. In fact, I should probably do this quite soon because it's always good to observe trends at the minute. Big thing at the minute, isn't it? The Fallout TV series.
Yeah.
There's a drug in Fallout. Well, there's a lot of drugs in Fallout, and I could make the Jet is the main drug, and it's like reverse engineered from like it's based on Gen Chem, I believe. It's like reverse engineered from there's these cows in Fallout,
Oh,
Brahmin,
damn.
the two-headed cows, and there's this getting Fallout 2. There's like this proper like nerdy scientist, and he makes jet and like introduces it to the wasteland from like basically making Gen Chem. And I was like, oh, this would be such a good video to make, especially at the minute. It's topical, so I think that yeah, just anyone watching, I've spoiled one of my future videos, but yeah, you first
Well,
did
you
it.
got to do it right
You're the
after this.
first.
Now you got to make sure you write the script now.
Oh shit, yeah, right, it's fresh in my mind. I need to get right into it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe do that modafinil stuff and get to.
Oh yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I could do
But
a bit of that.
I know I never played Fallout. I'm never into video games and stuff like that. But I do know that it's big. I knew you had a problem with it at first. I remember
Yeah.
seeing your story, but I think you came around to it.
Yeah,
And
I like to play on my Instagram or even in general in my Discord. Like I think some people can't interpret like sarcasm. Like I like to like sort of wind people up because like, oh, there's this Fallout series, right? Realistically, a lot of people are just gonna watch. I'm like, oh my god, it's the greatest thing of all time, and I just like it gives me a bit of amusement to sort of like exaggerate how much me because I didn't dislike it. I liked it, but obviously being a super fan of
right.
Fallout, and like not to the point where I'm like, oh, this is evil. Like I've never be like that. Like there's a lot of vitriol from nerds, isn't there? Like super nerds who are like, no, this is wrong. They've ruined this, and I'm like, no, I just had a bit of a more nuanced like approach to it because it's like, yeah, something that I know a lot about, and I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of like the Bethesda basically the disparity in the conversation with Fallout, the series, and the third and the fourth game is they bought Bethesda, who does Elder Scrolls, bought Fallout from Interplay, who did the first two, and then
Hmm.
went on to make New Vegas, and basically the original games are much more in depth, a lot more about they're just written better. They're like the deeper. It's like for the thinking man.
Right.
Fallout by Bethesda is for it's like the Marvel fan. It's the amusement park iconography. Oh, mutants. Oh, power armor. Oh, wasteland. There's big cannibals. And then the first two in New Vegas is very much like what is it like to live in this world? Like there's so much nuance and so much detail. And at the end of the day, I understand why they made it a lot more surface level because that's what's going to sell, isn't it? At the end of the day, so I understand
Right.
why it's just surface level stuff. But yeah, I don't actually lose sleep about it.
And it's not bad, like you said. I think making something like that is and getting close to it at least, or at least surface level, is better than the damn remakes we get all the time. I'm so
Oh yeah,
sick and tired of these freaking remakes. Every damn week, I see a new trailer for something that was already performed way better back in the
yeah,
80s, 70s, whatever time it came out. It's just like, why are you even remaking this? There's no
yeah.
point to do that.
I had this conversation with my mates the other day because yeah, we're definitely on the same page here, and all my like proper cinephile mates all can see through the bullshit of just like they don't have any. It's safer to remake something that people have nostalgia for. I tell you what is 100% on the cards, and I can't believe it's not happened yet. A Back to the Future sort of like Gen Z reinterpretation.
Oh my
That is
god.
just it's in. They're talking about it right now, like oh, people love Back to the Future. Let's bring it back. And I had this idea of like well, how it's going to be. I was talking to my other dad. I was like, you know exactly what it's going to be. They're going to go from like this year or something, or maybe it's set a bit later, like 2030, and they'll go back to like the 90s and 2000s, and it'll be a critique of sort of like dude bro, like American Pie culture or something. Like this is so weird, like for a Gen Z like teen or something. That is so happening. If that happens, honestly, I'll put money on it.
Hey, you already got on it now. We'll come back to this and be like, he called
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We'll do an episode on that. We should do an episode. I mean, we can do really whatever we want on a can't we? Like we've already talked about loads of like non-drug related stuff, and like people just want to hear our opinions, don't they? I guess.
Yeah.
And big thing is like culture, isn't it? Culture at the minute. People want to hear about it, don't they? Because I guess we're very invested in it, aren't we? Sort of the yeah, shallow culture with movies and stuff at the minute.
Hmm.
It's quite sad.
Yeah, it's. But there is a movie that came out recently called The Sasquatch Sunset. That looked like a pretty good movie to see. You see a
Oh
trailer for
yeah.
that?
Nah, but yeah, anything Sasquatch,
Yeah,
I
it was
quite like
like
that.
I think the movie doesn't involve talking. It's just all the Sasquatch family just like living in the forest, and there's like a part of the trailer of them eating like an Amanita muscaria, and that seems like something
Ah,
interesting that I would like to watch. Something experimental
and
like
we could
that.
tie it back in as well.
Right, right. I can
Oh,
make a trip report. I'm a Sasquatch or something,
yeah.
and I just don't talk
uh,
the entire time.
yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, we could just do like pure grumbles. They'd love that.
Yeah.
I did that April Fools because every April Fools I do like a really tongue-in-cheek video. Like last year I did like the Banana Dean Terence McKenna report, and I did this one. I did the April Fools one that Josiekins she whipped it up for me, an AI rendition of my
Yeah.
voice. Which is hilarious because he sounds so southern because I'm obviously not southern, I'm from up north, and like he's like I'm having a bath, and like up here we're like I'm having a bath or something, and I was like this is clearly not me, and someone was like, bro, this is indistinguishable. And I was like, it's really not. And then another person really, it annoyed me, but I also amused me because someone was like, this better be the only video you're doing AI. If you keep doing it AI, I'm unsubscribing. I'll never watch your content again. I was like, have
Oh,
you
dear.
seen the date, April 1st? Like, do you not know what's going on?
I know people are just like so what's the word? Just unattached, unaware to the
Yeah,
surroundings, and
yeah,
it's just like I don't know that. Yeah, it just blows my mind that kind of
it's
shit.
crazy.
But um, all right, let's see. Yeah, this is we're actually taking long with these topics, but I'm happy about it. This is
Yeah, we've had a good solid hour now. It
I
just
was I,
flies by, doesn't
I was worried about I didn't have enough, but like we've only gotten through three.
it? Oh, brilliant! It's off to a good start.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right. One more thing with the channel, I guess we could be your favorite video to cover. That could be a good one to end on that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's a few that I'll do a few. So my favorites like trip reports to cover personally for me. I love the Salvia reports. They're my favorite to read and to cover, and especially with Salvia because it's so hallucinatory. I can get because obviously I use a lot of video game visuals, and I'm like, and I've got into this massive repertoire of like video game knowledge, and like I'll read the Salvia report because it's so out there. There's so many things happening, like bizarre things. I'm like, oh, there's a game where there's a freaky amusement park, and like a lot of these Salvia like reports. Oh, I turned into a Ferris wheel. I'm like, right, bingo. I've played so many games. There's a Left 4 Dead. That's what I did. One of the Salvia reports. There's a level in Left 4 Dead 2, and I was like, right, perfect. The freaky zombified amusement park. I was like, oh, this is, and I'm really enjoying doing it. But I also really love doing the near death experiences as well because they're very hallucinatory. And one of my, I think, well, actually, my very favorite video to work on where it's just like a report. It was I can't remember which NDE report it was, but so much just the way it was described, like it wasn't, a lot of trip reports like, oh, I took it in my room and then I just stayed in my room. I went outside. Like the NDE, it was like I'm on the beach and then I'm in an NDE. I'm in like the sky. There's a white light, and so many visuals came to mind that I could use, and I was like, oh, this felt really creative. But my very very favorite videos to work on. At the minute is so I'm doing another abridged series where you take an anime and like you just turn it into your own comedy. It's Chainsaw Mara, which is sort of my take on Big Les if it was set in like the northwest of England with proper like pint supping racist people who've got like drug problems. It sort of ties back into the channel as well, and I love making that because it really tests my like creativity because it takes so long to make these abridged series. Like I'll do a 5 minute video. It takes me days to do because you've got to edit the lip flaps to be exactly like
Right.
what you're saying. You've got to put all the sound effects in. You've got to remove all the sound effects from the show, and you've got to add them all in. You've got to add the music in. You've got to write the script, and it feels like I feel like I'm actually creating a glimpse of what it feels like to make an actual like TV show. And obviously, I love doing voice acting as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite stuff to work on. But right at the minute, I love making my shed talk videos where I just go into my summer house, and there that feels like, oh, this is a natural evolution of my content. So I think if I'd say the best, yeah, probably the shed talk videos, especially since they seem to be connecting with people as well. Because I thought at first like no one's going to be interested to really hear what I have to say, and then you're like, oh wait, they actually are, which is like
Wow.
wow,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, that's
talk of the century.
it's always fun to make videos
Oh,
just
what's your
a shroom one, maybe. I mean, shroom ones are very interesting still, but like just a drug that everyone does or everyone already knows about. It's like it's kind of repetitive. You know, you just want to like branch out a little bit, and that.
yeah, and I know what I mean.
But they could still be fun to do, especially if it's like a very exciting trip. But yeah, I'd have to
Yeah,
say my favorite one would be like doing like inhalant ones. Deter is always fun. That's the one that got my channel going. You know, you always got to stick with the ones
yeah.
that got your channel up. Like maybe for you, since you did that acid trip that you got was almost 2 million, or it has 2 million now.
It's clearly I've realized that people, the mass audience of people who subscribe to me, who like like people subscribe to a channel and they just want to be subscribed to see that video, that type of video that they want to. That they initially subscribed for.
Yeah,
It's 100%. All of my megadose reports on anything really. When it's something out like an overdose, like if I that's why I usually put in if that video, that LSD trip report there, what could possibly go wrong? If I didn't put 1,000 micrograms in the title, I don't think it would have popped off. When someone sees that, it's like you're instantly there, aren't you? You instantly
right.
absorb. So 10, 20-gram mushroom trip report or like 100 grams fresh, even if the report itself is actually like not as out there as you'd think, it's instantly people are going to click on it. Yeah, that's definitely the bread and butter of my channel. And I, I bet you've had a bit of this as well. Like you see like a certain type of video doing really well and you're like, oh, half of your brain's like, right, I could literally just get like huge views every single time I upload if I just do like the same three substances that do well. But not only is that not really creatively stimulating, because like you, it's interesting to cover other substances, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also, people are gonna get sick. People will get sick of it, no matter how much they love it at first. They will get burnout. About another megadose trip report from Vivek or another inhalant video from Dozen Trip for
Right.
the seventh time this week. People are just gonna stop watching it, aren't they?
Right. But then I'll get comments like I'll just upload a Benadryl video or whatever it is, and then they're like, I'll get a comment on Instagram or something saying, when's the next Benadryl video? Like, I just uploaded one today.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know,
is
right?
that not enough? You know, it's just, yeah, I like to expand. I also like, the medications. I'm really interested in how like medications like negatively affect people, because like, whether it's antidepressant or antipsychotic, like I love hearing stories about how like it really messed these people. Not that I want that to happen to people or anything, but just to hear what
No.
they have to say about it. And it's just like really interesting to me to hear that, and like how like a normal drug like that can affect you so weird when everyone else taking it is just like, it's how it's supposed to go, but like for you it was just
Mm,
completely terrible. And then that's another thing with the comments, like people, if something like that happens, I'll get comments saying like that will never happen, that's never happened to me, that's not
yeah.
true, the story's fake because that never happened to me, I'm the one who controls everything, blah blah blah. It's just like
Oh, that yeah. I'm
the
glad you mentioned that
yeah.
because that ties back into what we were saying before. Actually, I forgot to say like one of my least favorite things about the YouTube is just how very close-minded people are to the fact that other people have different brain chemistry. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, any real psychonaut knows just how subjective these experiences are. Even
Right.
just based on like you as a person, how you're going to react to it, but genuinely on a level like how your brain works. Like the one that really annoys me is I'll do a cannabis video and someone genuinely has like a super out of body hallucinatory psychedelic experience, and
Hmm.
the yes, average stoner will love to comment like, no, this is completely untrue because
Yeah.
I've had 50 dabs in 4 seconds and I just got a bit high. And it's like, well, yeah, well, of course. You like smoke weed every day. Mate,
Hmm.
when I smoke weed, I get like, I feel like I'm on like 5 MEO DMT or something. I'm like contemplating like life like super like uncomfortably profoundly because I'm just going into weed to. I'm not going into weed for that. I'm going into weed to like get stoned, and it's not
Hmm.
like that for me anymore because I don't smoke it
Right.
ever really.
Yep.
And whenever I have a joint, I'm like, I'll have one puff, and I'm like, oh, surely I can handle one puff. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like dissecting the suffering of mankind, where I'm like, I'm not in this, I'm not in it for this, and it's very chaotic as well. The only way I can have weed now is I have this Pax Mini. It's like a dry herb vaporizer, and
Hmm.
it's very subtle, and it gives me that stone feeling without like the crazy headspace. That's the only way I can have it. Like you say, you don't really smoke weed either, do you, or ever?
Last time I did anything close to that was I did a Delta 9 edible on accident. I thought it was a Delta 8, and I was ready to go to sleep, and then next thing I knew, my eyes were wide open, my heart was pounding like crazy. Yeah, it was just
Oh my god, I hate
yeah.
it. It's so horrible, isn't it?
It's like
I
why?
did that at my mate's one time. I was like, I used to be able to get to sleep with cannabis very easily. It was my go-to sleep remedy. And then I was at my mate's house. He was having a bit of a party, and then it's just me and him. And I was like, "All right, I need to go to bed now, but I'm still wide awake." And he was like, "Oh, do you want this THC gummy?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on, sure." I remember THC. That got me to bed. And after an hour, like you say, woke up, eyes ablaze, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm having like a cardiac arrest right now. This is awful."
Uh, uh,
Not
a
know.
lot of people don't understand that though, like with about the bad comments, like saying how stoners just don't agree that that happens, but it does. But there are people who experience the same exact thing. Like we're pretty similar on that. I probably say mine is. I don't know anyone who has it as worse as me, but it is just like I seriously get like an instant panic attack when I smoke one hit, and it's just and even the smell of it or the thought of it just gives me like anxiety. Like it's just so strange. I don't know how that happened or why, but
Mm,
it's stupid because I wish I could smoke it. I wish I could have fun, but I can't because if I know if I do, it's
nah.
gonna be end up bad, and there's no point. And
You've just got to let it go, haven't you? I've been struggling that a bit over the years because I've smoked weed habitually from, I mean, whenever I literally got into it, or whenever I learned to roll a joint, then I was like, okay, I'm now a stoner, and I got a bit. You start to attach the identity, and then it just started making me feel skitsy. I've talked about this a lot, where I started having like super out there, like ego death experiences
hmm
on psychedelics. And every single time I'd have one, my relationship with cannabis would change to become more psychedelic, to the point where now it's thrusting me back into like I say, I've had experiences on weed where I feel like it feels exactly like what people describe on 5-MeO DMT, sort of like becoming the universe, or having like this universal, like this omniscience. And it's uncomfortable because the physical effects of the weed, like I'm getting like a heart attack, which influence an element of anxiety into the thought. So then
Right.
it just becomes so chaotic and horrible. And then I've had to learn now over the years to like just let it go. I'll never smoke weed like I will in the past. And if I do have it, I'll have it in that vaporizer, and I'll literally just have like one puff of it. And it's great because then obviously back in the day, I waste so much money on weed. Like
hmm
going for like a 20 like a 2 gram a day. It's like that's 20 quid to 20 bag. Like you're doing that like in a full year. There's so much money, and now I get maybe an eighth of weed, and that lasts me months. And it's like,
Right.
oh, this is so much healthier than I'll say it like straight up. I think the culture surrounding cannabis overconsumption is super toxic, and the
hmm
way we treat it far too miraculously. Is a beautiful substance, like
Right.
many substances are, but people there's a an obsession with the abuse of it, isn't there? Really, it's really
Yeah,
not right.
like with people like I said this on my second channel, like people like Snoop Dogg who just smoke it all the time. And I always say like, what if you were to take that away before they go grocery shopping, when they wake up, it's like you can live your life without smoking every second. It's just you just gotta get your mind like used to that.
Mm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I think I had a few of my mates, actually. One of my friends, he might even be watching. He's decided to stop smoking weed, and just trying to redial it, because I think he sort of had this revelation where, right, I'm sort of dependent on this, and this is no way to live life, to be dependent on anything, especially when it's a substance as well. Things can get really dodgy,
hmm
and he's like giving up weed now, and he's having 100% withdrawals, physical and mental withdrawals. He's sweating and shit. He's sort of like losing his head. He's getting things of his like consciousness that he's been suppressing with the weed are now coming to the surface. And to be honest, that's like the journey of letting go of a habit or an addiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to face like the suffering, haven't you? Obviously, I talk a lot about my ketamine addiction, and the
hmm
worst part is like the no physical withdrawals. It's all mental, because I'm fine throughout the day, but when it gets to that point at night where I would have had ketamine in my habitual nature, that's when like the ego's like, right, it's time, you're gonna get some out. And it's like you've just got to bite the bullet and ride through it, and you just every day will get easier. Maybe you'll have like a slip up, and one day were really bad, but you just got to remind yourself like, right, every day that I don't do it is getting closer to it not being a thing in your mind, and one day you'll be like, well, I have no desire to do it at all.
And
So
then
yeah,
you'll
it's
probably
hard.
get sick from it too. Like if you just like people who just
Yeah.
throw up or whatever, it's like alcohol, ketamine too, heroin, and anything like that. They just once you stop doing it for a while, and then you like even just get a little taste of it, you just like your body just like tells you to shut the fuck up and stop doing what you're doing, and or I'm gonna kill you, because that does happen too. Like
Yeah.
especially when it's a severe addiction. Like I think that's what happened to Amy Winehouse. Like I think she stopped after she was an extreme alcoholic, and then she just drank, and then she died. I think that's what happened. I'm
Yeah.
not Don't quote me on that, but I that's what I remember when I was told that.
Something along them lines, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
a common case amongst many celebrities.
Hmm.
Yeah, they try. Well, obviously the big one at the minute, isn't it? Like drug related death, which actually I think there's a lot of misunderstanding around this. It was. Yeah, Matthew Perry, the Friends guy, and he
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
Fort Vegas as well. He died whilst on ketamine, and
Hmm.
the media sort of trying to spin it where no, ketamine killed Matthew Perry. It's like no, the guy had ketamine and like this is from what I know, and this isn't 100% verbatim, but like yeah, he slipped into the bath, didn't he? And he drowned, like
Hmm.
something along them lines. And obviously the ketamine dissociated him so much that yeah, that can very much happen on dissociatives and sedatives and stuff. But it's silly when the media tries to spin it like, oh, well, yeah, ketamine literally killed this guy. It's like, actually, if not abused, is a super, super safe
Right.
chemical. But obviously, if you abuse it and you do it in dangerous situations, like in the bath, that is going to cause a lot of problems.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Just got to be careful with it. That's all. Because we
Mm.
got ketamine therapy now, and there's like MDMA
Yeah.
therapy. There's a whole bunch of shit that's gonna be,
Mm.
coming on. And then opening legal shroom stores. Like there's some in Canada. You can buy Amanita muscaria
Yeah.
gummies over here. I don't know what it's like over there, but you just go in the store and there's even research chemicals inside, just things that it doesn't explicitly say what it is, but you go online and you see like, oh, there might be 4-ACO DMT in here or something. But
Mm.
yeah, just I mean, they don't list it, of course, because if they did, probably it would not they wouldn't be able to sell them. But
Yeah.
yeah, just everything being legalized now. But well, I guess it's been like that because you always had the spice too, and
Yeah.
tianeptine and ephedrine that was legal, and like we're far from that. And back like almost 100 years ago, meth was legal. It's
Yeah.
crazy to
It's
see how we've
interesting.
come.
Also, we've surpassed 100 concurrent watches now. Oh, 99, I've jinxed it.
I got 102.
But
Okay, yeah, no, I see a 99
uh,
Kyle.
but
Uh,
at least we got to that milestone for a few
Woo!
seconds. We love it.
I like to
But yeah,
see how
like
many
you say,
views we got, like total.
yeah, it's sick, isn't it? So yeah, another thing I was thinking was then there's other. So you got ketamine, MDMA, which if used wisely is actually super beneficial, super beautiful substances, and psychedelics. And then there is no. You could argue it in some sense, in some maybe like dental practice. I don't think they do it anymore. Like cocaine, like there's no good that comes from cocaine, is there? There's no spiritual benefit. There's no physical benefit. There's no mental benefit. It's just supercharging your brain with dopamine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's nothing but problems that will come from that. There's no way you could use that uh, in a setting like ketamine therapy. You don't have there's no cocaine therapy that will ever exist, or heroin
There
therapy,
might be
or
some
any.
for people who have a lot of money. They might do that shit, but that's just like
Yeah,
partying basically.
yeah,
Just the
yeah. They
rich
they they
streets.
see that. Yeah, they see that in as in. Yeah. Well, that's again, that's sort of like the appeal of partying, isn't it? If used sort of wisely, like even drinking can be used wisely. Like Aubrey Marcus talked about this really really well, about alcohol, where obviously alcohol is can be super destructive, but sometimes you can treat alcohol in sort of like a spiritual fashion, like just having a few where you like lower your inhibitions maybe and just get that nice like little tipsy feeling, and you can connect with your friends, and that's like healthy partying. But then you've got partying where it's like 3 day benders and sniffing
Yeah,
cocaine and
yeah.
drinking like Grey Goose non-stop. Like that's not therapy. That's like pure hedonism that's going to end in a lot of destructive habitual habits like the vicious dopamine feedback loop, isn't it?
Right, because
And
then
yes, I do agree with this person who says there are medical uses for cocaine. Like I do agree with that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not in the same realms of like ketamine therapy where you're going inside your subconscious. Like the drug is just very, very different on that level, isn't it?
yeah. And another person up here says they're from Canada and they're all over Ontario, so that's pretty interesting to hear about the shrooms and stuff. So, yeah, just the way it's gonna go pretty soon. I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, you'll see it on the at least in America, you'll probably see it on the ballot somewhere, maybe in California, like one of those diverse states that's out there. But yeah, just seeing what's going to happen is going to be very interesting, and we'll be able to document it here too for everyone to
Mm.
get updated on and stuff. But yeah, that's
That's a good talking point for a future episode about, yeah. I mean, we talked a bit about it on Psychonauts podcast. If you're not checked that out, definitely check it out. Yeah, we talked about sort of the future of psychedelics legalization, the positives and possible cons that can come with it, because
hmm
it's a massive, massive, massive thing. Drug legalization, psychedelic legalization, is going to be a lot of good that comes from it, but also a lot of mismanagement, lots of like grubby sort of big pharma type people who are going to want to use it for their own nefarious
right.
reasons. But that's one thing I have said many times. This is a huge problem in the UK, is that we are making, I don't even think, baby steps towards any sort of, we're not even like, cannabis legalization isn't even being talked about
That's
that much by
crazy.
any of the parties, really. Even Green Party, the more liberal progressive party, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if they make the stance on cannabis legalization very clear, which is that's like a hallmark of progressive policies, isn't it? Cannabis legalization and
Yeah.
psychedelics, super progressive. So fair play to you, Yanks. You're hitting it out the ballpark, and even the Canadians, even better. Like they're doing really well with it. In Europe, well, not even Europe, just the UK, we are so behind the times. Like, I mean, look, you can go to fucking Amsterdam. Like, I can go to Amsterdam and actually drive there through like the Channel Tunnel. I can go and get on truffles and smoke weed, and everyone's just sound, and the way it's regulated is really really well done. And yet you come back to the UK and then you can get arrested for having a bit of weed on you, and it's like, what
It just
for?
makes no sense with that. Like, if you're same with like the states over here, different states have different laws. Like really stupid. Like it'll be legal over here in Ohio, but if you go somewhere to like I think Indiana's still illegal. It's just like. So you're telling me I can go on the border of Ohio right here and smoke, but if I take one step over that line, I'm in Indiana, I can get arrested. Like it just makes no sense at all how that
Oh
works.
yeah, that's very very silly.
Yeah,
At least in the UK, you'll go anywhere and it's all the same bullshit laws.
yeah. I think most of the country, like a little over half the country, is now legalized, and I think like most of it is at least decriminalized most for the most part. But there are still some states like Texas and stuff like the South, not very
Mm,
not very progressive with it. But yeah,
yeah,
it's just crazy.
conservative states, isn't it, versus more liberal states.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
and obviously we don't want to get too hard into politics. We
oh,
know how
speaking of, who are you going to vote
emotionally
for this year?
attached. Oh yeah, we were talking about that. We were like, oh yeah, let's talk about all the things that will trigger people the most. But it's like I would like to talk about it because you can talk about it in a nuanced way. But people are so emotionally reactive when it
Yep.
comes to this stuff, and most people, because it affects everyone.
hmm
It's very hard to think about it. It's hard to read between the lines, and like, oh, I might. I'm going to vote for X because of this, but it's not because I fully like them. And then someone will be
Right.
like, no, you must like them. You must be on their side or whatever. And it's like,
I hate that so much. It's like, dude,
yeah.
that's why I want to get rid of the two-party system over here. It's just because if you like what they're saying, if you like what the person's saying, why restrict your views for what you think is right when what you're listening to, what you're hearing is actually what you want to hear? But you put that label,
Mm,
you put that party over that person. You're like, oh, hate him now, can't vote for him now or her. It's just it's
mm,
so stupid. But that's never gonna change because it's basically 50-50 here. You never like no matter where you're at. Like
yeah.
if you're in a well, if you're in like a very conservative town, of course there's going to be Trump supporters. But if you're in like a big city like Philadelphia, that's all Democrat. That's Joe Biden and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like place in Ohio, like we're always labeled as a swing state, so we basically go
Mm,
either way. Every election, just like Republican, Democrat, Democrat, and yeah,
yeah.
you don't know over here. But like the specific like California, Philadelphia, yeah, you know what you're doing there in the Nebraska stuff like that's definitely conservative. So
Mm,
um, that's kind of like why I like living over here because I can hear the different opinions, but it causes more
yeah, that's
arguments.
cool. I get,
But
yeah, but at least you're getting exposed to two sides of the spectrum, and the problem is, yeah, if you want a more solid states or solid areas, like we're always Republican, always Democrat,
right.
you're getting a bit of a myopic sort of like one note idea of like, oh, you start to think like, oh well, if we think this, everybody else must think that. And, well, how
hmm
could any other state not think that? How can they not make their mind up? So if you're in between, you're sort of realizing that, oh right, there's everyone has a different agenda, don't they, when they're voting? Like some people just vote based, and I think a lot of people, I'd say that almost the general public, in the UK as well, it's very true. Or anywhere, like they vote, it's like cult of personality, isn't it? Who do
Hmm.
you energetically resonate with more? Are you more like Biden? I mean, if you're like, if you like either of them, I think it's
Yeah.
that's quite bizarre. But that's why Trump has got this like cult type following because he's a charismatic,
Hmm.
highly energetic man who knows how to tap into sort of like this
Right.
populist perspective, and people say, "Oh, well, I'm like Trump in some ways, so therefore he must be a good leader." And it's like Boris Johnson did something very similar again. Boris was like the mutated Trump in a sense, wasn't he?
Looks like
And
him
that's why
too.
they got.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, they even look like each other. A big appeal of Boris to sort of like the general public, populist, conservative, like conservative crowd was, oh well, Boris is like a down to earth guy like me, and he has a drink and he enjoys Jaffa cakes and stuff. It's like it must be like me. And then you've got like obviously at the time it was like versus Jeremy Corbyn. He was super progressive, and like I mean, personally for me, I vibed with him a lot more. He felt like more like a human being. He came from the ground up. He didn't feel like a member of the elites. He really felt like he had the working class person in
Hmm.
mind because he came from it as well. But the conservatives, like the Boris and the media, the Sun, obviously over here have like the different papers that have different political leanings. The Sun and the Telegraph and the Daily Star and all the conservative newspapers, like, right, we're worried about this guy. He actually is more like a human being than Boris. Like, how do we take him down? And then there was this massive coup in the UK with Labour, where like the more right wing, not right wing, but leaning more to the right, was like, oh no, like if Jeremy Corbyn gets in and changes Labour into sort of like a democratic socialist type government like
Hmm.
Scandinavia, it's gonna conflict with our desire to make more money and appease like the businesses and that. So it's a chaotic system, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
It's just I when I look in the future, I don't know how far I can see into it. I always think like, oh, the next election, what's going to be after that? What's after that? It's just like
Yeah.
it's all about money. It's all about making wars. Just losing money, and it's so stupid. It's almost pointless. It's like
Mm.
why am I even voting for these people, or what are they doing for me? It's just
Yeah,
but
I found it very amusing when obviously I mean all the world's eyes are always on the US when there is
oh
an
my god.
election over there because it affects everybody. Us lot, it's like I get it just affects Europe, I guess. Oh yeah, it affects everyone. Everything affects the world, but
No, yeah.
very very concisely, very in a niche sense, it just affects Europe. What happens in the UK, but the Americas, like the whole world changes whoever gets in because you're the country of the world, aren't you? There's a reason there's memes about ruling the world because you're the most influential country by far. And so everything changes based upon who gets in there. And I always find it really funny, like, because obviously we get invested in it in the UK. I've watched all of the election stuff. And then I remember when Biden got in, and like I personally was like, right, Trump's clearly just like sociopath, megalomaniacal guy, and like Biden's this old senile old man. And I guess like you want to like get to brass tacks, the Dems are probably like better in some. I hate to say the word better because that implies much better, but it's just less. It's like the lesser of two evils. And then the people like my liberal mates, the people who vote Labour over here, Biden got in and they were celebrating on Instagram like, "We did it, guys! We finally did it!" And like Billie Eilish is on Instagram and she's crying like, "I can't believe we got rid of Trump. We finally saved." And it's like, whoa, you are not thinking into what's going on behind the scenes here. Like he's not gonna change anything really. Like very marginal
No,
things.
yeah, no. It's all put on a show. It's really
Yeah.
it's basically part of your personality who you vote for. It's just like that. That's how people see you. Like, oh, I voted Democrat. Oh, I voted Republican. Oh, okay, I hate you. Oh, I hate you too. Stuff like that.
Mm.
That's all they're doing. Divide and conquer, and they're doing it correctly. Especially with every fucking political thing that's out there now. It's just like everything has to be divided, and that just pisses me off. But all right, we're kind of going off the rails with this. Let's let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I guess we'll just do. We're gonna get to the drug experiences part, and then I guess we'll just end after that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah. We obviously do the people want to ask us questions,
Oh
don't
yeah.
they? We
Okay.
end
All
on
right.
like
Um,
so. Yeah, anyone who's listening, get some questions written down on like a notepad or something or another app, and then when we say do the questions, get them flung in so we don't lose them in the chat.
yeah. When it's time to do it, just type it in. All right. So first thing I wrote down here is your craziest drug experience. I think I know which one you're gonna talk about, but go right ahead.
Yeah, because obviously the go-to. I've actually had when you were giving me the topics earlier, I was like, well, I've got to give one that I've not said before. But the craziest one, it will always be. I hope this will be the most crazy experience I'll ever experience in this my time here on Earth. Is obviously I took so I took like quite a lot of acid when I was very reckless youth, like 18. I just come out of a very, very like seriously destructive relationship,
Hmm.
and you know what you do? You go on a super escapism mission, don't you? Even though I was glad to get out of the relationship, I was like trying to find myself again, and I got super into psychedelics, like almost like destructively hedonistic. I was like, right, I can take all these tabs, I can smoke weed, I can do keto, whatever. Like the sort of mindset that's gonna bite you in the ass, and I had. It's so stupid. I was supposed to go to Prague the next day, and I was like, "Oh no, I'll just go to this rave with my mates in Manchester and get the train back up home, and then go to Prague in the morning." I was like, "It's never gonna work out." And it was like the universe kicked me in the ass for it. Went down there, had a super like disturbing ego death where everything just completely melted. Like I was basically in a dream world. I was in this rave. It was called the Antwerp Mansion. This underground sort of like rave place in Manchester that doesn't exist anymore. It's really sort of like quite grimy, great music and everything, great vibes. But because I was just losing my mind, like, and I've done it a few times where I have an ego death. Where I'm like, I don't need anything anymore. So I get my phone out of my pocket, throw my phone across the fucking mansion, get my wallet, throw my wallet. I'm like, I don't need anything. And it culminated in me being like, well, I don't need clothes anymore. So I ran around the Curry Mile in Manchester, one of the roughest, the most dangerous places in all of Manchester, naked, running down this mile-long stretch of like Indian restaurants. And yeah, I won't go into it too much. If you want to listen to it more, yeah, please check out my channel and check out it's called Nothing. It was great. This was brilliant. Actually, I've got. It's actually on Erowid, the site. I posted it years ago, and late last year, they actually approved it. Because they go for a very long approval process on Erowid. They don't just put
Right.
anything on there.
Right. That's why when people
And
say it's fake, it's like they really looking
I
towards
know.
that shit. It's like yeah.
That's why I love going in Erowid because there's been a serious professional process to approve
Hmm.
it, and then they actually renamed. I just when I put my video out, it's my first ever video. You can find it, but I've changed it now. It was called Panic on the Streets of Manchester. The video was first titled that, and then they renamed the trip report. It's so clever. They called it Nothing to Hide, quite literally, because I took
Oh
my
my
clothes
god.
off. So now that's if you want to find that's on my channel because I won't go into that there. But the one that I've never revealed is this is the first time I ever took Xanax. I'd heard of it. I didn't know how to dose it, so you already can tell how this story's gonna go. We were all on MDMA, me and my mates. We were having like a party, and obviously we were all like really dialed in, like wired. And we were like, oh well, we're never gonna be able to sleep. And my mate had Xanax, and he was like, oh, this will get you to sleep. And he was like, well, I don't know how to dose it. I think we just take it in full, and it was like super strong Xanax as well. I was like, yeah, so I'll just take that. And within the 20 minutes, I just woke up like over 24 hours later in my mate's mum's bed. I'd pissed the bed because I was like, I was literally just relieved myself in the bed. My mate came in, he was like, oh yeah, Vivek, you're gonna have to go now. My parents are coming back from holiday and I need to clean the bed. I was like, yeah, son, I've just had a really good sleep, not knowing how long I'd been asleep for. And I got in my car and I was like, it's like a day later, like well, 2 days later from the minute I took MDMA, because it got into like 12 a.m. That was like the
Hmm.
next day. And it was like 2 days later. I was like, oh my god, I've lost time, like in the alien abduction reports. I had no idea what had happened. So I got in my car thinking I was completely sober, and I got in my car and I couldn't remember where I lived, and I was
God.
driving. I started driving the wrong way, and I was like, well, I can't remember where I live, but I do know where Subway is. I was really hungry. And as I was driving there, I was just losing my mind. I was like, "Where the hell do I live?" And before I knew it, I'd gone into a curb and I'd done my wheeling and I'd put my tire on my wheel. It's like shit, but I was so zanned up that you don't really realize the weight of
And
the
you don't
gravity of what's
care
going on.
either. You're just
I
like
was like,
you
"Oh
just go with the
no!"
flow. You think everything is just like all right.
So I got out and I was just in the middle of the street trying to get the wheel off, and I'd never even changed my tire in my life in the worst possible position to do it. So I had to ring my dad to come out, and I'm like, "You're gonna have to help me out." And thankfully, I don't even. Obviously, my parents would be livid, like you would be. I was completely reckless, but it was great bit of character building. It was a good learning experience because I've never done anything like that ever. Oh, actually, right, yeah, yeah. This is the other one I don't know if I talked about. So I actually crashed my car on lean.
Oh wow.
Uh, Yeah, and but another thing where I didn't realize that I was actually intoxicated because it was actually like quite subtle. It was with
Hmm.
my ex-girlfriend, and this is actually, it wasn't my fault. It's the fault of the Domino's delivery driver. He wouldn't come over this bridge into the village where I live. He would only drop it off at this shop on the other side of the bridge. He was like, "No, I can't come over into your postcode. We don't deliver there." So I was like, "Okay, I'll just get in the car. The lean's not doing anything. I feel completely sober." Went to pick it up, and then on the way back, my mind just started drifting, and I just went straight into the side of the bridge. Car's completely totaled, and I'm like, "Oh
Oh
shit."
my God.
I really am on lean.
Your car's leaning.
I know, right? And then I was like, obviously, I was with Mexico, and she was like, when she was on lean, like super leaned up, and she's like, "I think you've just crashed." And I was like, "Nah, surely not." And I got out of the car, I was like, "Oh my God, the car's literally in pieces. No way I'm
Jesus.
getting it." And I rolled up to the top of this hill, and then obviously, first thing I thought was like, "This is it. The police are just gonna find me." And I was like, "It's all over. I'm gonna lose my license just for one very, very silly mistake because I like drive super sensibly. It was just like a moment of madness."
Right.
And then luckily the guy who owns this pub at the end of the road, he came out. Obviously heard the crash. He came out and he was like, "Hey, what's happened here, lad?" And I was like, "I crashed." And he was like, "You've been on something, haven't you?" I was like, "I don't know." He was like, and he felt sorry. He actually felt sorry for me because he clearly saw that I was in distress, and it was. And I said to him like, "Mate, I've never done anything like this before. I feel so bad." And he was like, "Right, lad, I'll let you stow my car in the car park." And he just literally let me roll the car from the top of the hill into the car park and let me stow it there. So he actually he saved me. He saved my life. What a
Damn.
hero.
Wonder what he's doing now.
Uh, I know. I might go to the pub and ask him later on. I'm like, "Do you remember me?" He was like, "I'll never forget you."
He just has
That's my
like
crazy
your
fun.
picture like hanging up on his wall, like
Yeah.
that one young lad came in
Yeah.
and
Most wanted. What was funny? What was funny? After that, when we stowed the car away, and he was like, "You need to come with me for a second, mate." And he took his dog out, super massive, like German Shepherd dog. And I was like, "Well, what's the dog for?" He's like, "Well, I don't know who you are. You could have a knife on you." And I was like, "Mate, I don't even know where I am." And he actually took me to the bridge to check if the bridge was damaged, because obviously the bridge was damaged. I would have to like get involved. And the bridge was completely unscathed. The car was just completely totaled. It was weird. I completely went straight. I didn't go into the bridge. I scraped it, going like semi fast, and like it must have like impacted it so hard on its side that there's no damage to the bridge, and then just the car took all the force. So thank God the bridge is all right. I go over that bridge every single day,
thank
and I
God the
think
bridge
no
is.
one has any idea. Yeah, like, I know, right?
Hey,
Um,
that's interesting. I never heard those stories. That's hey, first time for
I've been
everything on
saving it.
here. You know,
Yeah,
hey,
saving it for
let's
this
go.
podcast.
Now you can clip it out and put it on your channel. Maybe I know a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
do that with streams. Like they copy the best segments and put it on there. So might honestly
Thank
be a
God you
good
just said that
idea.
because I wouldn't have thought of that. So thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
Get my finish
I'm gonna
work.
put this whole stream up on Spotify too, and yeah, because it's gonna be
Oh
nice.
yeah.
And probably make some good amount of money for that
Awesome.
one. But yeah, I've probably gone over my drug experiences mostly on my channel. I'll just like briefly go over the best segments of them. The first one that comes to mind is my shroom trip, where I just completely thought I was dead. Um,
Mm,
I was drinking, I was on Phenibut, and not a combination you want to do, but I was addicted to doing that before, and that basically like that really screws with your mind in like a positive way at the time, but when you like the after effects, it's just no, it's completely it's shit for you. And
mm,
I had these shrooms from my coworker, and he had a whole bag, and I like wanted some at that time, and I'm like, do you have like a little bit I can have? And he gives me the whole
mm.
bag. He's like, "This is my morning dose," and it had to be like I don't know how many
Wow.
grams, but it was a lot. I'm like, this guy is, I don't know. He was pretty crazy at the time, but yeah, he just gave me it, and I did it the first time I did it. I also drank at that time, and that's the only time I really wanted to do it because I wasn't afraid to see what happened. So, but I had a great time. I went to my grocery store, saw my friend there. He said my eyes were dilated, and I threw up in the parking lot. But I had a really good time, like driving. Like I wanted to keep on driving. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
But the second time, my other friend was over, and I put them in a fruit smoothie, which is a really good way to do shrooms if you guys haven't tried that. It's like you don't taste
Ooh.
it at all, but there's like a little taste to it, but it's not like crazy, like just eating them straight.
Oh
But
no.
I did a whole what's that? like shake for weed, like the little crumbs at the bottom of the bag. It was like that, but for shrooms. And I just dumped it
Oh
all in
yeah,
there, and I don't know how many
yeah,
grams
like
I
the shrap.
did. Yeah, and I don't know how many grams I did, but as soon as my friend started talking like backwards and like sideways, he's like he would read. Okay, wait, let me let's see here.
Mm.
This says rain total body fuel on this energy drink. It would be like body total rain fuel. He would read stuff like that, and like, but he was talking normally, and then I told him he was doing that, like that that's what I was hearing, and then he started doing it on purpose, and
Oh.
it really started to freak me out. So I had to kick him out. I called my other friend, and luckily after like an hour, he came over. But the whole time I was on the phone with him, I just kept walking around in circles in my house, looking out the window, opening water bottles, and like I seriously thought I was dead, and that was so
Mm.
scary. But he finally came over and it calmed me down. It was just I went into depth with it on my one video, my nightmare shroom trip from hell. But it was, oh my god, dude, that was probably the scariest experience, other than the Hawaiian baby wood roast one, where like my body felt like chicken wings and my teeth were crooked. It was yeah. So when you do that, just be careful about that. But
I was just gonna say, I was like, I guess I've got that to look forward to.
yeah, it
Turn
was.
into
But
chicken wing. At least I know what I'm in for now.
oh
So when
yeah.
it does happen, it's exactly like how he said.
Oh, I am a chicken wing now.
Yeah, this is
uh,
what I've always been.
my true form.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was terrifying. I couldn't pee. I had vaso. Oh, that's another thing.
Oh,
Vasoconstriction
I
with
hate that.
that. Oh my god, it was my dick got so fucking tiny. Like it was like
Yeah.
it looked like a little fucking shrimp at the way it is. Like it
Yeah.
was just
Little
crazy how
thumb.
how it shrunk so much. It was like when you go in the water and you get shrinkage. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like crazy, and my hands were purple. Like oh, it was freaking me out, dude. But
Yeah, I've had that. I've never had that on shrooms, but I've had that on when I first started taking LSD. I had that, yeah, exact experience. Like my hands going purple, and like I'd put my hands in my pocket, and I was like, I can't really like feel like how I would usually feel inside my pockets, and it's because yeah, there was very limited amount of blood going there, and then I go to the toilet and I really need a wee, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's not coming out no matter how hard I like, not even that hard. I think well, thinking about it makes it worse, and then you do everything. I was like getting like rainfall noises on like water noises, and then it was funny because I was with my mates, and then as happened to one person, it sort of like affected the other people because then they had a bit of a fear, like, wait, what if I can't pee? And then I remember we were all in the bathroom at one time. Like one person was trying to pee in the sink, one person tried to pee in the shower, person pee in the toilet, and none of us could do it, and all the lads in the other room were just pissing themselves. Like, oh, I'm so glad that this didn't happen to us.
it's so freaky how like that like it's kind of like what's that thing like mob mentality, like if it happens to one thing, it happens to one person, like other people join in, like everyone just does it.
Yeah.
That's like with shared consciousness and stuff, like we're all the same person, like we experience mostly the same things, just like we our
Yes.
perspectives are different, and that's
Mm,
just I think that's what that goes into, and yeah, it's kind of cool
yeah.
but scary when shit like that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Again, yeah. That's the thing about psychedelics. You sort of become conscious of the collective conscious, don't you?
Yeah.
And I mean, I've like I've experienced that with another one of my trips. I talk about one of my other personal reports, the Brink of Insanity one, where me and my mate experienced telepathy, which is like is a very it's like a very woo woo paranormal thing, but so many
Hmm.
people have experienced it. But it's like it's not something that happens in this like material sober reality unless you're like seriously spiritually attuned.
Right.
But when you take psychedelics and you're on that heightened level and your ego's diminishing and you're sort of like becoming you're starting to operate on the same frequency as the other person's like consciousness, and we were noticing, we were talking, and we were like so in sync and replying to each other like, perfectly. There was no thought. It was just like an instant reply, and then we realized our mouths weren't moving, and then that was like that's when everything like really changed for me when it was like you look into all this stuff throughout your whole life. Like I've always been interested in aliens, paranormal,
Hmm.
mystical states, but actually to actually experience that and being like, oh yeah, it's the eureka moment. Like it's real. It's so real. It's realer than real. Yeah, very bizarre stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's I feel like, you know, a lot of people have this negative stigma towards, drugs, even like psychedelics, even though they don't know anything about it. Just the people just immediately think it's like heroin or something. But
Mm,
I just feel like with DMT, I've never done it, but I do like I feel like if I did that and just like since it's in our brain, like we're just that's the actual reality that we're living, and our brain is just blocking it out, because our
Yes.
brain blocks out our nose. Like you could see your nose all the time, but your brain doesn't want you to see it because it's not important. That's why I feel like
I know, right?
your brain cannot, like, it can't answer these hard hitting questions like where do we come from, what was before the Big Bang, is there a God? Like your brain simply just cannot comprehend it. And
Mm,
that's why, like, I feel like when you do DMT, your brain, you're open to it and you're finding out more information. And I feel like since it's
mm.
so much to comprehend, it is just like you're if you knew it all the time, you would probably just kill
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes, you couldn't be yeah, you couldn't be human. If you want to get like super metaphysical, like let's say hypothetically, right? Everything's like consciousness. It's like universal consciousness. It has to be physical. You have to place limits on yourself, and you can even see this scientifically in your brain. Like you take mushrooms, don't you, or any psychedelic,
Hmm.
different areas of your brain are like wiring up because it's making you more conscious. It's opening up different gateways,
Right.
and to be physical, to have a physical reality, you have to, your brain has to be limited in some way. And then there's a whole spectrum of it. Like people schizophrenics, their brains operate so differently to like
Hmm.
your normie. Even us, like us two, we're neurodivergent. Our brains function. We interpret reality and perceive it so differently to like your average like normie, just someone I just go to work and get back and I go to bed or whatever. Like just living, just sort of like living the NPC existence. And
Yeah.
their relationship with reality is so different to neurodivergent
Hmm.
people. And then you get people who are born, like born with sort of like hate, not even HPPD. They're just born in like a psychedelic state. They're
Hmm.
born with like people have like photographic memory. Like imagine having that. Like the way you interface with reality is so different to other people. And there'll be a lot of positives with that. It's going to help you out a lot in certain elements of life. But then think about how almost like disturbing that would be. Like
Yeah.
what events in your life where like I mean you already remember like shocking moments in your life, but to remember them like as vividly as what you're perceiving now, that's crazy. It's super
It,
super out there.
it's wild, and I feel like we all have that opportunity to feel that. We just like you just can't. It's just. But some
Yeah.
people get lucky, or some people get unlucky for those things. But yeah, it's just crazy how people can just like sense stuff like that. Like especially with gut feelings. That happens to everybody. When gut feelings end up being true, it's like holy shit. Or
Yeah.
when you experience deja vu, like it's just that when I think of deja
Mm,
vu, I know it's mostly from like the dreams you experience and it's like coming into real life. But I mean, I honestly, I think something like reincarnation is real. I feel like that sounds the
mm.
most logical, where you just like, like if you're a good person, you end up in like a very powerful being after, or like if you're terrible, you end
Yeah.
up like an ant maybe, and you just die pretty quickly. I don't know how
Yeah.
what their time dilation is for ants. Maybe they feel like it's a full life for them, but I'm just
Yeah.
something that's not strong, something that's like a prey. But yeah, you just but
That's
you don't remember it
That
because
ties
it's
into
like
samsara, doesn't it? Like the wheel of samsara. Like they say how you keep coming back to like the because if we want to get into it, like if we say hypothetically, I don't actually know. This is just what I based upon my life experience and looking into it. Like let's say there's infinite dimensions of experience. There's lower contracted dimensions where you're like an ant, very like limited consciousness. Then you're a human, like a higher consciousness, and then ad infinitum, you've got aliens, and like what really is like is an alien, like a grey or any of them aliens that we talk about, the mantises.
right.
It's a higher, highly evolved being that can interface with reality in a much deeper, more trippy fashion. Like we look at the aliens and the UFOs and like how they move. And I'm not even I'm just relaying information. Look at Lou Elizondo. Look at all the big Jacques Vallée, the big ufologists.
Hmm.
It's not. It's. I think that in our like zeitgeist of like science, we're like, well, it's this grey alien from another planet that's developed this technology using these materials to make this ship like how we would make a ship. It's like I think it's a lot trippier and more
Right.
metaphysical. That like it's like they're manipulating consciousness to sort of like manipulate time and space to like bend it so that they're not using propulsion. That's what I actually saw. Right, call me crazy, whatever. I've never seen a UFO, but I saw something the other day where like I'm not saying it's aliens piloting it, but I saw something that literally was an object that I couldn't identify that was flying around. And obviously, your first thought you don't want to think it's so out there you don't think aliens or think anything
Hmm.
super trippy. But I looked at it and I kept following it for ages, and I was like, that doesn't look like an aerial. It doesn't look like a drone. It's ridiculous hours of the morning. The night sky. I mean, how often do we actually look up at the night sky and like just literally? Sometimes I've started doing this now. Where I go out at like 3 a.m. in the morning or whenever, and it's like literally silent. There's no other person about, and I just get on my chair and I just look up and like you see shooting stars all the time.
Hmm.
There's so much stuff going on out there, and then eventually you'll see something like gracefully going across the sky, and it's great, so graceful, it's faster than a plane, going much faster than a plane, and it just goes off and disappears, and you're like, what really is it? And that's what a UFO is. It's something you can't identify. I'm not saying it's aliens, but that's literally an object flying around that's unidentified. So there actually is loads of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
Um,
aliens are so interesting to me with that. Like how
yeah, man.
you were saying how it's just like we wouldn't like our comprehension of aliens are is just like what we think it is, and not like
Yeah.
I when I think of aliens, I could think of something like maybe it's a thing of gas or something we just can't comprehend, like
Oh
a
yeah.
like how bacteria looks. Like I just feel like I don't know if the true alien like looks like that gray thing, that little gray thing with
Nah.
the two small
I
eyes.
think
Like I don't.
it's probably like one. It's probably like one. If we want to get into like the grey law, mate, and the reptiles, like the lizards and the mantises and all the other ones that people see, because there's loads of them. There's like the Pleiadians, or like the Nordics who look like us, but they're like supermodel versions of us. Are like really weird, like
Mhm.
Aryans and that. And there's so many reports of like Travis Walton, very famously, probably the most famous abduction case, got taken up, and he got taken up by sort of grey type entities with the big head, big eyes, but not exactly the greys in pop culture, but something that looked like that.
Mhm.
And then they're on this ship with all these other type of alien beings, and it's like it's not just the greys. That's just the pop culture most famous thing. And yeah, I think that's just why I love sci-fi and like stuff like Torchwood, Doctor Who, Star Trek. What are they doing in all these things? They're discovering there's so many different forms of aliens. Like yeah, like in one of Torchwood episodes, there's an alien that's a gas, but it's a conscious gas that can.
Mhm.
And we just think that no, well, nothing can exist. There's no sentient gas here on Earth. It's like, well, the Earth is a little dot in this
Right.
infinite universe.
Right. Uh,
It's so the potential is insane.
Yeah, and I think the only reason they're not really visiting us is because we're just like what a point 0.6 in the Kardashev scale right now. So it's like that might be even giving us
Mm.
too much credit. But like these
Yeah,
civilizations, if they could travel from here from a different like galaxy, a universe, they know what the hell they're doing. They're not gonna visit us if we have nothing to offer them. It's just like
mm,
that's why we don't see them too often. That's why maybe if we do see them, they just pass by. They might just like be looking over, checking on us maybe. But yeah,
yep,
it's just like people don't realize that we have
yeah.
to get more advanced before like we start like working with them, doing stuff like that. But because they got their own thing.
That ties into Star Trek again, doesn't it? Like, what are they doing in the Enterprise in Star Trek? They're going to like different planets to like observe them, analyze them. Are they ready to join the Federation or something? It's
Hmm.
like you start to think when you start contemplating stuff like this, it makes me think that a lot of these science fiction writers are almost tapping into the future. And I mean, let's be honest, right? What's Terminator about? It's about AI becoming sentient and the fears of surrounding that. Mate, how weird is this in Terminator 1? I swear John Connor says to Sarah that 40 years from now is when the AIs really start taking off. And like 40 years later from the time of that film is this year, isn't it? It's
Oh
just
my
so
god,
crazy.
that is
How weird
crazy.
is that? Not saying that like clairvoyant predicting the future. I just think these people, when they write fiction, they're so imaginative, so creative, aren't they? They are in a sense sort of tapping into like a very real element of the human evolution. Like it's inevitable, isn't it? We grew up thinking like I grew up thinking like right, surely one day aliens are going to show up or we're
Hmm.
going to contact them. Surely one day there's going to be robots and AI, and now we're experiencing. Well, they're actually happening sort of the same time, aren't they? Like the UFO
Right.
talk now is
All
I've
time
actually
high.
yeah, and I think it's interesting. I don't know about you and people you speak to, but I don't know anyone in my personal life, friends or family, who's like a denier anymore. Everyone believes in aliens. Everyone seems to have had some weird like experience of seeing lights in the sky,
Yeah.
or even just weird sort of experiences of like things that you can't explain. And I think people are more into it than we're made to believe. I think it's the super materialist scientists, to be honest, who are like skeptical to the point of like closed mindedness. I think they're the ones who muddy the waters, to be honest.
Yeah, with people who are closed-minded, it's just like you have no room to like improve or see like what we could possibly do, what possibly can be out there. It's just like you need to be open-minded as a person. You cannot just go in thinking whatever you think is real is real. Like you got to be open to things and like see like now, especially with the aliens and global warming and stuff like that. Like everyone's seeing it happen in
Yeah.
in time, and there's proof of it now. So it's like, you know, that's what we
It's
need to
only going to
do.
get more extreme, isn't it? Like it's
Oh
only
yeah.
like you've just posted. We're in the infancy of those things. Yes, we are, and like that's the beauty of it, isn't it? We're in the infancy, and it's not stay an infant forever, dear. There's gonna 20 years, mate. And just contemplate realistically. Like if we're 60 years old, this whole thing is gonna be like Terence McKenna really famously said in this interview in the '90s. He was like, "It's gonna get so weird that people are gonna have to recognize how weird it is," and that's beginning. That's beginning now. Like people are like, whoa, reality really is like really weird and trippy and metaphysical.
And just think, he was the one doing DMT, describing it. So he knew he
Yeah.
knew he know how to describe those trips. Like when you ask people who've done DMT, like what happened, like dude, it was like whoa, like but he's like, well, they were dribbling basketballs, diamonds. Like he knew exactly how to describe it. It was just crazy. So
Yes.
like I respect him a lot. Also, he did a really good impression. I thought that was actually him for a second.
Yeah,
But
I love
yeah.
doing it because I did it in that video randomly, and people are like, "Is this like an AI generated voice of his or
Maybe that could
something?"
be your next channel.
Yeah, I might do like a Terence McKenna impersonation channel. Get Dennis on as well.
Hell yeah. Uh,
Oh god.
all right. Well, let's since that took a little bit of time, let's just do one more topic, or you just want to go straight to the questions with it.
What's the last topic we have in mind?
We have favorite drug and least favorite drug, and then drug you want to try, drug you are afraid to try. I think we just mix that together.
Yeah, go on. We'll rattle through that and do questions.
All right. I guess I'll go first. Favorite drug is probably Adderall or MDMA. My least favorite drug, Benadryl, of course. I mean, Benadryl is no fun in that at all. The drug I want to try the most is DMT. Yeah, that's like my number one thing I want to do. And my one I do not want to try, deter. Like, you keep that away from
Mm.
me. That shit sounds so terrifying. I don't care if it's one seed. Just keep it away.
Yeah, yeah, true. Um, Yeah, for me, I would say yeah. Obviously, like my mind is wired up to for ketamine definitely
Hmm.
because I have a very erratic mind. I do gravitate towards dissociation, but obviously, like I say, struggle with addiction from it. So I've got to just let it go. Like we talk about letting cannabis go. Weed used to be my favorite, not anymore. It makes me skits. Ketamine's now like having a bad effect on me, like physically and addiction wise. So let that go. But I think always my favorite substance will always be based on how it's changed my life is LSD. I've had all my most mystical experiences in LSD, all of my like pure ego deaths other than 4-ACO DMT the one time. But LSD is the one that's changed my life the most. I can think back on all of my LSD trips and I've had lots of them, and I can remember all of them very vividly. And I'm always very eager to try it when someone who isn't me gets the chance to indulge in that. But what was the one worst? What least favorite?
Yeah,
Least
least favorite.
favorites? Oh, cocaine. I hate cocaine. It makes me
I agree.
it's disgusting for me, and for I guess for you because people with ADHD and neurodivergence, it has the complete inverse effect. It makes me really tight. I can't speak. I can't make my words out. It makes me paranoid. I feel
Hmm.
uncomfortable. There's no euphoria with it at all, involved with it at all for me. That's obviously why I've always like um, veered towards other substances like MDMA and ketamine, where it's like, oh, that actually does give me the stereotypical feeling of it. Like I get it. When I'm
Hmm.
cocaine, like, there's nothing nice about that at all. I mean, I've had spice before accidentally. That's horrible. That was a really bad experience. But the one like I say, the one I most want to try is LSA, which is now I won't get too deep into it, but that is definitely on the cards very soon.
Right.
Yeah.
I, if you do it soon, you definitely got to make a video for it.
100%. Yes, that's it's going to be a great video because I've been so. It'll be the first new psychedelic I've tried since I tried 4-ACO DMT in 2018, and that's a long time ago now. I've always been excited to try because we cover all these mad substances, don't they? Like, oh, these crazy psychedelics like 4-HO, 4-ACO, like
Right.
3-MEO, and so many different ones, and they all have different flavors to experience. I was like, you don't really come across them very commonly, and to come across this, I was like, right. This is now me getting back into the scientific research element of the channel where I actually start diving back into it again, which I wanted to do for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about my own experiences.
Yeah. And you're one you do not want to try.
Oh right. Well, I mean, 'cause that's just straight up Denny Delirium.
Right. It's not
I don't
fun.
want to do DPH.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to do any of them. I don't actually want to do. I have an affinity for it. I think it's beautiful ayahuasca, but I don't personally want to do it because I'm extremely sensitive to like the nausea on
Right.
psychedelics that I ingest. I love shrooms, but they really do. Sometimes they mess with my trip a lot. I actually had a mushroom trip a few weeks ago, and I don't even know. I don't know what it was, like blue meanie or something. And I just ate one of the big mushrooms. I was like, right, I'm not going to think about the dose. I'm just going to eat it. And I was like, surely I'll be all right. Chewed it for like millennia, and then I saw that surely I'll be all right. Had the ginger, all the nausea remedies, and the stomach pain was just—it was so bad. It just interfered with the trip, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this to myself again. I'm not gonna consume. Ingest psychedelics, and if I had ayahuasca, I don't want to be having diarrhea and
Yeah, I feel
and
the exact same
puking and
way.
that. I
Yeah.
can't be arsed.
uh, uh, all right, let's get to the Q&A. We got probably won't be able to answer all of these because I just got a whole bunch of them that came in. But this one says, "Where does happiness come from, in your opinions?"
Ooh, starting off with
A
a
very
loaded one there.
hard-hitting one, yeah. um,
For me, I think happiness comes from a big thing for me is like fulfillment and contentment. Being content and being able to relax and having a big thing for me is like my unhappiest moments of life was when he's just constantly seeking something to fulfill me, so searching for meaning and being lost in meaninglessness. And this is why the YouTubers catalyzed my happiness so much. It's like, right, I finally figured out like sort of like life purpose in a sense,
mhm.
and it's so fulfilling, so meaningful. And when I didn't have that, and I was just like literally just working to survive in like sort of like the wage slavery type of existence, I was like, oh, it's like pure, it's super
No happiness
depressing.
there, yeah. It,
No, it's just survive. It's just survival. Yeah, and also having hobbies and passions is absolutely
right.
essential, isn't it? To being happy, you've got to have some I feel like some people maybe not. Again, people vary, but I think people like us, especially neurodivergent people, you need to have. You got to have some form of creative outlet. I think
Mhm.
something that you get invested in, and if you don't, you're not gonna be very happy.
Yeah, it's going to be very
So what do
boring
you
and not
say?
know what to do. So, like, yeah,
Mm.
it's for me personally, happiness comes from just being comfortable, being, confident who you are, and just being able to live life like that, not being angry, not yelling, just like being calm and just, taking life as it is that it throws at you, just not trying to worry and just live the life because everyone else is living it too. You're not the only one living your life. Like there's people who are living terrible lives in the Middle East or wherever. Like there's stuff going on all the time. Like you just got to be grateful where you're from, and if you can
Mm.
accept that, it could be a pretty fun time. So yeah. Let's see here. We got. How old are you guys? I'm 24.
I'm 26, so we're in a
26.
good we're in a good age bracket, aren't we? Because
Yeah.
we're very solidly. I mean, yeah, like we talked about this a lot, haven't we? We're technically in Gen Z, but we gravitate more to like the
Yeah.
millennial
We're
sort of
zillennials.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lost generation.
This next one would be for you because I've never done either of these. But what combinations do you enjoy with ketamine? Have you used much nitrous oxide?
I've used nitrous oxide before, and I talk about this a lot about how it is a very dangerous substance. Obviously, and people sort of argue with me like, yes, you can use it consciously, and you can have deep experiences. But and I've had it before. I mean, I'm a raver. I go to like drum and bass raves. They're everywhere. Like, you get involved with it as a teenager, don't you? You want to try everything. It's a nice pleasurable experience, I guess. But the problem is with it is that it's really it is a bit like playing with a loaded gun because you don't know what the next reaction to it could be. People have had one balloon and just like straight up died because it's a very very extreme thing what it's doing, isn't it? It's replacing like the oxygen in your brain with
Right.
nitrous. You're depleting your brain of oxygen. There's going to be a lot on if you do that regularly, and if you get unlucky, you could do it once and have like permanent nerve damage. So yes, I have combined ketamine with other chemicals, MDMA and LSD, shrooms,
Which one's your
probably.
favorite?
I'd say I liked do actually with 2CB, ketamine and 2CB was really cool
Oh,
because
okay.
yeah, on like the tail end of the 2CB trip, when you're coming down, it just implements that trippy because when you come on the tail end of psychedelics, it's like, oh, I really wish I was still at the peak. And for cannabis, it brings me back to the peak sharply and disturbingly. But ketamine sort of it introduces that trippy element back into it, where you get back into that profound headspace, and I really like that. But also, some guys asked me what because he said, "Oh, what's your favorite alcohol?" Because he says yours is Miller Lite.
Miller High Life.
So
Let's all
yeah,
agree.
Miller High Life
Miller
guy.
Lite's good though. I'm not gonna be against it. I just yeah.
Mm.
Um,
To be fair, I've just gone. I'd say getting back into drinking, but no, I do like going out to the pub. I like having a few pints. I like beer. Well, I'm not a massive drinker at all, but I do enjoy it. And actually, I like my Japanese beers, not just because I'm a weeaboo, but probably yeah. But I like Asahi's, like Sapporo, Kirin. I like that they're a bit stronger, like 5%. It's like a nice balance of the alcohol and like the taste of it.
mhm.
I enjoy them now and then. To be honest, actually, obviously. It's just nice. I just like a few beers sometimes, just unwinding. Like on a Friday, if I stay in on Friday night, I just have a few beers. I don't never get like absolutely plastered by myself. But yeah, it's just nice to get a bit merry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
uh, but yeah, alcohol definitely it's fun if you don't abuse it. Like for me, I personally like to drink myself to sleep. No, I'm kidding. But but it is fun to drink a couple beers because I do like the taste of beers. I do like how they taste, and especially if you only have like two, that's like a perfect amount to drink. You know, because with liquor, like you got to be careful because you have one drink, you could already be down in the shitter. I have not had a liquor drink in probably about half a year by now, and I do not want to go back to it because that shit is just way too powerful. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't drink any spirits or anything. I like might have a cocktail or something, just for like the taste of it. But
yeah.
I don't like drink whiskey on the rocks
Oh god.
or have vodka shots or anything like that. I was not that much of a veteran drinker to enjoy that really.
Hmm. What kind of work do you guys do outside of YouTube, or are you full time YouTubers? I work at the post office. I work full time there, and I do YouTube on the side. But it's basically like they're both full time, pretty much. I'm always working on it. You know, both jobs especially. So it pretty much like two full time jobs, maybe one not as full as the other, but that's what I do.
Big time graft. Yeah, so I've gone YouTube full time now because it's become I mean on a level. I used to work as there's things called telehandlers. They're like super forklifts. I worked on a site. My dad got me the job after I left sixth form, which is like where you go after high school, and it's basically just buttering you up to go to university. I was like, well, I don't really want to go to university because the thought of doing more education, more academic stuff is like hell. And I'm like, well, I just fancy like getting into something, but I don't really know what to do. So I just floated around doing like labouring and construction stuff because you can just get that without any kind of qualifications. Then I got a bit more qualified doing the telehandler stuff, and it was like, yeah, it was a bit more creative, like getting a bit more involved. I was like, I don't want to do this forever. And then when the YouTube took off, I was like, right, well, realistically, right now, I'm now making more money doing what I enjoy than this
Right.
thing that I do that like I'm not really wired up for. And I could have continued doing it, but I just thought, right, I'm just now going. I just pour all my energy into YouTube, and even then, when I like to think of it when I'm not even making a video, and maybe you think like this too, like you're almost working all the time when you're a YouTuber. Like
Yeah.
when you're applying to emails, sponsorships, collabs, messaging people, especially me managing the Discord
Hmm.
and just having plans for the future. And I mean, I go out and film. I get my GoPro and I go filming. Like I go and drive to other places. Like I go to Scotland. Well, I've not been to Scotland yet, but I'll go like the historical places and beautiful nature spots and get my GoPro. I'm like, oh, people really like the nature videos. So
Hmm.
even that's work. And someone say, well, that's not work. That's you enjoying yourself. And I was like, yeah, but it's all relative. It's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah,
So.
you're always thinking about it. Like you always like even if you're not specifically working on anything, you're thinking of ideas you can do. Like you look up stories or something that could possibly be for future videos. It's all the time. Like especially at work for me when I'm working, I think that's where I think of my video ideas a lot. And you know, I
Mm.
gotta post from Instagram and stuff. Like I make a meme post every day at like 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
11:30. So that's something. Not saying any of these things are hard, but it's just that's what I do. And
It's all part of the package, though, isn't it? Every
yeah,
single thing has a bit of an. That's why I like doing the Instagram as well, because it's true. You get involved with other platforms, and at the end of the day, there are going to be some people. Maybe, yeah, I bet you as well. They discover your memes, and they're like, oh wait, this is actually not a meme page per se. It's a YouTuber's Instagram page. And
right.
then there's going to be some people who click on that and get involved, aren't they?
Yeah, and they might enjoy it more. But I also funny. These comments are funny when I get like, "Oh, he was a video creator, but when I went on his Instagram, he just posted about Hatman and shit." Just like memes and
Yeah, I get
stuff
it as
like
well.
that. That's funny to see that. But yeah,
Mm,
it's a lot of fun. We don't take it for granted at all. Like especially
no.
doing this is just like it. We enjoy it every single day. It is to keep a schedule though. It is very like hard, especially with me. Like I just working at home, not working at home, working at my job, and then coming home and doing a video. Like especially when I make one after work, that's like a very long day for me. I get up at 5:30, and then by the time I come home, I eat dinner, and then I work on a video till like 9, 10 o'clock. So that's like a whole day. I didn't really get to do anything that wasn't work related, and yeah, it was just. But
Mm,
it's worth it when you get a lot of views and people support you, and yeah, it's a lot of
yeah.
fun.
One thing
Um,
I wanted to mention about the other platforms was I think one thing we're not, well, we definitely don't like or interested. I'm not interested in doing TikTok at all. I don't like the platform. If you, but I'm happy for people who are big on there. Like I love the
yeah.
fact Tripwhip, someone who's one of my main inspirations with all this psychedelic content. Obviously you and even just like general psychedelic content. Like your mate Tom, Tripwhip, two of my biggest inspirations. And Tripwhip's he's exploded on TikTok. That's awesome. His content, like the way he makes it on there, it's like it's the peak. It's the exemplification of like pure TikTok content.
It's
If I'm
suited
on there,
for it.
all I'm gonna be doing, yeah. If I'm on there, all I'm gonna be doing is just chopping down my trip reports and posting it on there. And I'm like, well, I've already got YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
I really want to get like big on TikTok. Actually, I don't know if I told you, someone started. Fair, they've probably done it to you as well. Like reposting, they've reposted our reports on TikTok. I've noticed.
Someone asked me about that
So
they want to do that. I said, go right ahead. I mean, I don't, because I don't I don't
yeah,
like posting it either. Like, I hate making segments, but I do like posting it for Instagram. Like, since I'm on Instagram most of the time, I like to make reels. So basically, that's the only reason why I'm on TikTok now is just to get that for Instagram because I do like to post the, the segments for it. But yeah,
yeah, that's
TikTok
good.
is, yeah, I can't stand TikTok.
No, I don't like it at all. It's not my vibe. I don't even find it fun to use. If I like reels, I go on Instagram. The memes on
Right,
there are way funnier. Like,
right.
and I've already got a thing that's got reels. I don't use YouTube. I don't even watch YouTube Shorts. I'll put them on there. They do quite well. My shorts on there. I need to do a bit
Hmm.
more. Um, yeah, not really invested in that. And on a level, I've been on TikTok, and there's a lot of vitriol and like closed-mindedness on a general
Hmm.
scale, just because it's so popular. Like, not saying like, oh, average TikTok person is a brainlet or something. It's just used by hundreds of millions of more people. That of course, like you have that mass demographic. A lot of them are gonna be pretty pretty close-minded, aren't they,
Yeah.
about this stuff? And that you'll get loads of people like, this is fake, this is so fake, they're hacks, Tales from a Trip and Vivek need to be deplatformed.
It's crazy the things people say on here. They just
Mm.
say whatever the fuck. But uh, we could probably do a couple more questions. I'd say then we'll probably head out of here and do
Yeah,
another one pretty soon. I think this has definitely gone
yeah,
a lot better than I actually thought it was going to be. I did not know.
the
Uh,
stars have aligned, haven't they?
yeah. So actually, you pick a question. Go see which one you want to do since I'm like there.
There's some they know because that is a super for me. That's a super grey area. I know a lot of YouTubers get away with it. I know Psych Substance takes like Carver on his channel and he's been high and he's done stuff like that. I'm not being funny. Like you've already you've already been taken off. Like I want to be safe with this stuff. I want to push the boundaries a bit, but I don't want to get into territory like that because I think that's super super grey area. Almost leaning on like if YouTube gets wind of that, like this guy's literally like on drugs doing a trip
Right.
report. It
Right.
sort of looks like advocation and I mean again we're influencing a lot of people. Like you type in trip reports now, like there's people who are just like straight. It's flattering, but
Yeah.
there's people who are just doing exactly what we do. Like the same people are even doing the exact same titles, the same structure of the descriptions. There's obviously like copying our descriptions. If I did a trip, or me or you did like a live trip report reading while we were tripping, this is going to influence like other content creators. Wait, well maybe I can do 10 grams of mushrooms
Yeah.
and get naked online.
I feel just like reading words that and they have to come out of your mouth. Like I feel like I'd probably start freaking out. Like I'm really doing this. Hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of people are going to be seeing. Well, maybe not that many, but like thousands of people are going to be hearing what I am saying during this. I'll just have all those thoughts, and I probably just won't even be able to do it. I
Mm.
read a trip report on Adderall before, and I literally could not get through it because I was reading it way too fast, and like I just kept skipping over words, sentences, because I just my brain was moving way faster than I than my mouth was, trying to. It was just it was crazy.
Mm.
So I would never do it tripping. That would just be a bad idea.
No. I even think doing a live. I'd like people oftentimes say this to us. It's one of the main things that's positive to us. Like, oh, do a live trip report reading, and I'm like, mate, you don't know how many times I go on Audacity. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, I've completely messed it up. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd have to be in a. I'd have to be. I'd have to be on modafinil or something, be in a peak flow state to like make no mistakes. The Rosa Festival that I'm very affiliated with. I'm like super involved with them. My best mate Keith, he starts it all, and one of the other lads, Jack, who runs it, he was like, "Oh, to get the Vivek stuff more incorporated, do you fancy doing like, well, you can do a set where you do a live trip report reading." I was like, "Mate, I can't even do it on my own. That's it at home. I'd love to do it, but it'd almost have to be like a comedy routine. I'd have to be like preface it like I'm going to mess this up so bad. So
Right.
just roll along with it. But doing it live on YouTube, I think actually it wouldn't be as good as people imagine it being right
No.
now. Maybe in the future when we're like we've mastered it. We're like audiobook narrating gods or something.
We have become psychedelics and we are audiobooks at the same time. We just combine the two together, and that's our
I
physical
am
bodies.
psychedelic. Yeah, we're transcended to physical form.
All right, let's just do this one last question. I really like this HPPD question. Let's just do this, and then we'll end it for today. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever had problems with HPPD, like lingering tracers and halos, and even things like music you had listened to while tripping sounding weird afterwards? You want to go
Mm.
first?
I don't think I've ever had the classic symptoms of HPPD, but like I said before, it's my psychedelic use has definitely impacted my relationship with other elements of my life in a way where it's like there's no going back. Like with smoking weed, there's no going back to the way it used to make me feel. It's super psychedelic now. I'm like, yeah, it's completely changed my reality, in a sense where like you have these mystical experiences and ego deaths, and then you have just like bad trips or something, and then you integrate them and they're beautiful. But then it's like you're now deep down the rabbit hole and there's no coming back up it now. You're like, whoa. I'm now solidly understanding that reality is more metaphysical than I believed beforehand.
Hmm.
It's less material, it's less reductionist, less simple. Because again, less super scientific people love to reduce it down to like the human understanding. And when you go beyond the human, you go beyond the mind, that your whole life changes from there. But never any like visual distortion, and it's never lingered in that sense, which I know it can do, which is quite mad.
Like for me, it has definitely lingered for me. I definitely see tracers and stuff. I have this thing called visual snow where it's like you see a static. Like right now, I can look at my white wall that's in front of me, and it's just like it's not like the static is not coming out, but it looks like it's part of the wall, and it's just like completely like what a TV would look like if it's on a channel that did not exist. It just that's what it
Mm,
looks like. You look up at the sky, but my mind, if when I first noticed it, I was freaked the fuck out. Like I could not. I like what the hell is going on. But like once I looked it up,
yeah.
like okay, that's probably HPPD. And then my brain just started not focusing on it. Just like what I was saying before with the DMT and the how you can't see your nose. Like I feel like it's just part of that. It's just not important,
Mm,
not important to worry on because you're just gonna make yourself more anxious and stressed out.
yeah.
But yeah, it does happen, and I
Yeah.
think it happened pretty quickly too because after I did acid and I would smoke a bunch of weed, I would see like the visuals you get on acid. I was getting that after smoking weed. Like I'd see the fractals on the floor and shit. It was just like crazy. And
Mm,
before that was fun to watch. I was a young kid. I thought, ooh, that's fucking cool. I could trip on acid while smoking weed. Hell yeah.
yeah.
But now it's like I
Not
have.
anymore.
I'm smoking and I'm tripping out. What am I gonna
Yeah.
do?
I've not got HPPD from my ketamine abuse, but one of the worst things was like when I was really deep into it last year was yeah, and a lot of ketamine abusers can relate to this. It's like you're living in dissociation world. They should name a term for it. It's like a dissociation persisting disorder or something.
Yeah.
Where it's like your mind is constantly a massive fraction of the time that you're conscious during a day is like, oh, I'm in dissociation. It's like it almost becomes a normality, and then you get off it, and then you're still feeling dissociated because it's very antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing for me with the ketamine was like my ability to like articulate myself, and like memory, my short term memory is still a bit fried, but it's coming back. We're doing loads of supplements, and because obviously it's depleted a lot of like chemicals in my brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people who abuse like even just psychedelics might not get HPPD, but they'll almost be stuck in like the I talked about like the untold dangers of psychedelics, where they're stuck in like the astral planes, and they can't relate to people in a normal way anymore, and like you lose that human physical material element. And then I talk about this a lot actually with people in my DMs who are like super into psychedelics, but they don't know how to like tie the shoes or something, or they
Mm.
don't know how to talk to people. They go to the shop to go get the groceries, and like they're having like a heart attack with anxiety, and I'm like, yeah, you figured out God and the universe and consciousness or whatever, but you can't even go and talk to like an old lady at a shop, and it's like, mate, you need to go back down to like this, you know, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you ignore the bottom tier, food, sex, shelter, you're not honing in on these aspects of your life, and you're focusing on the top, the self-actualization stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're approaching this in a disorderly fashion. It's going to cause major problems for you, especially when you get to like 40 years old and you've got to sort your own shit out. Like, you've got to like proper become an adult, and you're still,
So I
you're
still got
still
a life to
taking
live
acid all the
here.
time.
I am
Yeah, I
fucked.
know. Yeah, so you don't want that to happen to you because that's going to get bad.
Yeah, life is already hard enough, so just adding that
I
on top of
know.
it, it's like, oh man.
When you get older, you want to be obviously it's very chaotic. Your teens and like your young adult era. I mean, every ask anyone, or I ask older people, like your 20s, you're always quite crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can still be crazy in your 30s and 40s if you don't get your shit in order. But ideally, when you want to get older, you want to have things, you want to have the foundations laid out, don't you? Like, right, I don't have to worry about financial security. I don't have to worry about being able to talk to people and just being like a functioning human. And if you're doing psychedelics all the time, you're not going to be able to be a functioning human at all now, are you?
Mm. Not yeah. There's this one guy I work with. I think he's almost 60 years old. He still does acid, and he's out there for sure. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
out there individual, and it's just like maybe stop. You know.
Yeah, some people are wired up for it, aren't they? Some people, I mean, I'll probably take psychedelics that off and on my whole life. Like they talk, obviously, the Alan wants to. Once you get the message, hang up the phone. But it's different for everyone. I always say the phone might start ringing again at some point. It's all relative, but some people, yeah, don't know. There's a great Vice documentary. It's I can't remember what it's called, but it's about like really old ravers. These three old guys, they're like 60 odds, even 70, and they still can't let go of the partying. I can't let it go. They're constantly trying to capture their youth, and it's not fulfilling them. I mean, if
Hmm.
it fulfilled them, they would stop doing it. You've got at some point, you've got to let a lot of shit go, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the most important thing in life. You just gotta let go and move on and take what is coming at you at that very moment.
Mm.
Um, all right, I thought that was very insightful today. That was a very good talk. Over 2 hours, almost two and a half. Wow,
Oh yeah, it's been awesome.
that was good. So we're gonna definitely do this again. We'll see. Maybe we'll get someone that's no one on it next time. Maybe low key fish, or
Yeah.
do this again. Whatever, whoever is free. We could do it.
So many people, yeah, yeah, we could get so many on. I'd love to do these regularly.
Yeah.
I'd say like if we're gonna try and schedule, it, I'd say like try and do it once every 2 weeks, and if we
Right.
feel up to it, maybe if we're feeling next week like, oh, should we do it again if we're both free? Maybe like Sundays. I think Sundays are a really good day for it.
Yeah.
It's like the day,
Me
it's
too.
the day of rest.
I'm always off on Sunday, so yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, let's end it there. I hope you guys
yeah.
enjoyed it. And
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
exactly, and do it on his channel too. And maybe we'll
Oh
do it
yeah,
on his channel next time. We'll see. We'll switch it back and
yeah.
forth
We
maybe.
could interchange it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, or just make a whole channel for it separately. But I
Yeah.
don't know. All right.
The world's our oyster now.
All right. See you guys.